Custer County Board of County Commissioners meeting will come to order. Let the record show today is July 3rd, 2019. The time is 9:00 a.m. Wonder, Miss Kelly, if you would lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate that.
Where's your bow tie, Clint? Doggone you.
It's too much trouble trying to.
I brought
my wife to do
I
that.
brought my pledge tie in and my hat just because I knew you'd be patriotic. You let me down.
I'm still feeling it in here. I think it was that meatball I had last night.
Good morning, everyone. Madam Clerk to the Board, would you conduct the roll call, please?
Commissioner Flower.
Present.
Commissioner Candace.
Here.
Commissioner Prince. Attorney Clint Smith.
Present.
And Clerk to the Board Kelly Kemper present.
Thank you, ma'am. Oh, yeah, that was me.
What?
No, I picked up what I thought was mud.
What is happening?
That wasn't mud.
Who does that on TV?
You farmers, you walk in it all day long.
That's the problem. I must have stepped in it this morning.
Oh, I just got the aroma too.
You open the windows, sir, and then I pick it up off
Would you
the
like
floor.
me to take the boots off and set them on the...
you wanna go-
Set them on the...
Oh!
I'm glad. Can you do that for the camera?
Yeah,
Truly an egg.
Should we take a short recess?
that's just what I was
Let's
thinking.
take a recess.
If you don't mind,
Scrape his
2-minute
boots
recess.
off.
Let the rec meeting will hopefully come back to order.
It's never in order in the first place.
That's
Yeah.
true. We never had much order in the first place. That's exactly right. So, right to Ranch County, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
There you go.
Whew. Thank you.
I make
Audience
a
in-
motion that we buy the scrapers for the front door and the back.
Oh,
Do I hear a second?
I'll second that. We need to tune up the
we'd have
front
to
door.
find somebody to actually use those. Audience introductions, please.
Jackie Shubas for the Sentinel.
Bob Jolly from the airport. Lynn LaGree, airport.
All right, good morning, welcome. Thanks guys for being here. Amendments to the agenda, gentlemen?
That I have.
Nor do I. No minutes to approve that I'm aware of. Commissioner items. Commissioner Prince, would you like to begin, sir?
I'll be happy to. I'm not going to go back and miss the one that I missed yesterday, but I did have a very interesting conversation yesterday with one of the principals of the family who donated the Beckwith Ranch to the Beckwith Foundation. Very nice gentleman. I believe he's in Dallas. He asked me what the procedure was to do a couple things at Beckwith, and I suggested that he go through planning and zoning to see if it's even necessary. He wants to put a commercial kitchen in the building so that if they have events, they'll be able to have a caterer come out and take care of things like that. He also mentioned that the bunkhouse, they would like to be able to put a person who will live on the property and be kind of a caretaker. Apparently some things have disappeared over the last several months, and they're very concerned about that. I told them that they needed to make sure that they met whatever requirements that planning and zoning had, that he should stop in with Jackie, but he was very concerned that the BOCC would not support such a concept about a commercial kitchen and having someone live on there. And I said I certainly cannot speak for the Board of County Commissioners, but we treasure the Beckwith Ranch as a foundation of our heritage, and that I suspect that the commissioners would support what he's trying to do. So I didn't make any commitments, but I told him the procedure go through. But I just wanted to report that. I told him, he asked me if I'd run it by you this morning, and I just want to let you know what I told him and how I handled that.
I mean, Kevin, zoning look at it. Only thing I can think that they would have a concern about if it's in a historic status. I don't know whether that eliminates doing too many modern upgrades inside. I don't know. That's something for him to
And
look at.
that's a fair question, and that's why I suggested you talk to.
So that doesn't preclude him from doing it in another building.
Right. But he wanted to just come directly to us and ask for our permission. I told him that, as much as that sounded like a really expeditious way of doing it, the right way to do it is to go through planning and zoning first, and they have to go to their committee if it's some modification, you need a special use permit or something like that, and then it'll ultimately come to us. And he was very thankful, and I was very grateful to him.
And we've been looking at liquor licenses temporary out there for years.
Well, we always do that. I mean, that's a
I
no-brainer.
mean, it's stuff that you do at this
Right,
point.
but this would be a permanent modification, putting in a commercial kitchen. So I just want to advise you where that was, and what was going on with that.
A couple comments about that, if I may.
Sure.
For the record, and you guys may not know this, you do certainly as being their attorney. I was on the board of directors for Beckwith Ranch. I resigned a couple weeks ago. Yeah. So, a couple things. One, in response to your comment about the historical perspective of that, they put air conditioners on all those buildings.
Yes.
They've rewired all the electrical, so that's
Maybe some of that's out the
so the
window.
historical's kind of down the drain when it comes to that. They are trying to preserve as much of that on the inside and outside as they can, but it's not like it's the historical. It's not been, I gotta be careful what I say here. I'm not saying it's not on the historical registry somewhere, but they can still do stuff out there, obviously. If it was, they wouldn't have been able to put the air conditioners in. So, when I was on the board, I said, I thought it would be good to try to find somebody to live there at least through the summer tourist season.
Yeah, I've heard
And
that.
if nothing else, maybe an RV in the back. They wouldn't have to live in that bunkhouse necessarily, but maybe do some kind of a RV hookup behind those barns on the west, and somebody could live there. We did it at the Saddle Club a couple of years. We hired a husband and wife. They come up here on vacation every year. We said, hey, why don't you just bring your RV, put it out there, and you can live there and be a caretaker. Worked out perfect. So, anyway, thought about that, but I did want to tell you I'm no longer on that board.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, thank you. Too many things. So, anything else, sir?
The question came about a road that 328M, which is a private road. County, very strange the way these private roads in Rosita are. The county has it platted in the 1800s and then abandoned it, and the private road was made. A little squabble between some of the owners, and I told them they need to work that out. It's not a county issue since it's not a county road. So those are the only two things I've done yesterday.
Good. Commissioner Canada?
Yeah,
Sorry.
just two things. And I need to find out how the meeting went last night with Roger and the guys, Tom, on the CenturyLink thing. I did talk to Kunkelman, and he wasn't aware of the squabble we had on digging up the phone lines. He's upset to hear that we got hammered. He asked me for copies, and I asked Meredith to get a copy of the letters we've sent out, and our just may it being charged a fee and all that jazz. So he's going to look into that as well. And then he still is concerned about not missing he's got to get the Connect America fiber in before. He just doesn't want to have too long hold up. And I said, well, we're working it. So what happened yesterday?
I'll give that report when we're done.
And then, so anyway, the good news is he's the director of, got an engineer. He knew an engineer was going to come up and talk to us. So it's good to know that he can do a little bit more for us. The other thing is I did talk to David Watts, and he took the fact that we didn't get the Ready Grant in stride and said, well, and I told him we were going to look at all options, and I emphasized all to keep the cost down for him. And so, and I said, I'm not ready to do we got a lot of things we got to consider yet on that, so we'll go forward from there. And I talked to Glenn and Bob about it, and we'll go out there and start hauling fuel. And that's all I have since yesterday.
Cry in our beer first.
Yeah, go cry in the beer first. That was disappointing that they didn't even, because they considered, although I should have caught a glimpse, because they asked us if we'll take less, remember? It's not the whole amount that we asked for. Then they asked a question, well, will we have matching funds regardless of what they do? You know, so I think they felt that they could go and pee somebody else because we already had somebody helping us, and I regret even mentioning that now. So anyway, that's all I got.
I'm looking under my sent files, and I had told Bill yesterday during the meeting that I forwarded the notice of non-award letter from DOLA to both of you. I look in my sent file and I put forwarded it back to me.
Oh, that's why.
So
I
here it
didn't see
is, right there.
Okay.
I've read it. I've received it earlier.
You did from me?
I don't remember where I got it, but I read it,
Okay.
and then I got it a second.
I know that I had a problem with the server on that computer, so I never got any mail.
I think Miss Meredith sent it to me
That might
a week or so ago. Yeah. Oh, as soon as it came in.
It didn't get here till Monday, I don't think.
Yeah.
Anyway, we got it. Everybody was aware.
I was disappointed.
I was very
Yeah.
disappointed.
It's the first time I've seen DOLA actually turn something down flat. I've been with them several times where they've come and said, well, we can't fund the whole thing, would you take
Yeah,
a
and then
portion?
but you know, my part of the problem might have been Christie was there, and then she wasn't, and then Winkler picked it up, and I'm sure
Undoubtedly,
there wasn't the advocacy that there could have been.
I'll buy that.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to have an honest conversation with him and find out why. I've got
Yeah.
my suspicions, but I don't think
They
we'll
did
ever
leave
know.
us a number to call. I'm gonna call Winkler up first if we do anything.
So, okay. Anything else? Sir? All right. Yesterday afternoon, I was actually home and got a phone call that from Road and Bridge that said that the meeting that I had on my calendar and had communicated with both of you that was going to be on the 17th after our workshop at Road and Bridge at 3:30 in the afternoon actually was scheduled for yesterday afternoon. So they called me at home and said, are you coming to this meeting? I said, what meeting? And Roger Squire said, well, we scheduled a meeting with the subcontractors for the pre-construction meeting. And I said, I have it in my calendar and informed the commissioners that it was on the 17th at 3:30. And he said, no. So I got thinking about that. And maybe he said July 2nd. I thought he said July 17th. I said July 17th. He thought I said July 2nd. I don't know. We got our wires crossed. Certainly wasn't trying to circumvent you gentlemen attending that. So I came back to town real quick and met with them down in the conference room there in Road and Bridge. There were 3 companies represented that are doing the subcontracting, plowing in of fiber optic cable in various parts of the county for CenturyLink. So we just basically kind of had a pre-con meeting and said, okay, you know, what's the procedures, how are you going to go about it, when are you going to start, and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so to dig them deeper than
They
6 inches.
think, well, their contracts all say 36 inches.
Do they?
So,
I did
so-
tell Kunkelman that we've been hooking them at 6 inches, you know, and all that.
well, not fiber optic.
No, I know,
Those are
but
phone
the
lines.
things that they've been dragging in.
So there was, the high points of the thing was that one of the companies has already started developing, there's 11 sites, he's got all those developed except 2, and those sites are basically where the fiber comes up into the boxes and they deal with that. So he's already working. Another company is probably gonna start transporting their equipment and supplies up here today. Be ready to start work on Monday because of the holiday. So we're not.
There is no delay then.
This
is there?
pre-con meeting had nothing to do with that. I think the word was that we were gonna put the kibosh onto it until we had a chance to talk with CenturyLink and deal with this
This other
billing
issue, that's what I
of
thought too when I talked to Tim.
of these phone lines that are buried way shallower than they're supposed to be, and we hook them when we blade the roads, and then we get these enormous repair bills from CenturyLink. So Tony from CenturyLink was there, and he was not aware of that initial bill for whatever it was that we paid, and then $365 service charge on top of that, collection fee. And so I had that conversation and told him the same thing, that we would send him all that material.
Tim's impression was we shouldn't have even been billed.
well,
He
that's,
screwed up.
yeah.
You know,
So-
he would have, that would have been the neighborly thing to do, he said, between us and them.
Tony said that obviously that all went around his desk or he would have known about it. He didn't know anything about it. So I don't know when that was. Obviously, we dealt with it. We paid their original repair bill. The local tech here is probably submitting those straight to the office, and they don't go through the channels of the people that we're working with. So
Yeah.
So, so I understand a little better, if I may, please. We felt that we should have had the line marked, and we failed to do that.
So
Our
we
road
felt
and bridge,
it
because
was
someone made an error. I'm certainly not, this is not a blame thing, I'm just trying to get to the facts the way I understand it. Because we didn't mark it, one of the road and bridge pieces of equipment ripped the phone line. They charged us a little over $2,000, if I remember, to repair it. And then we had that collection fee and all that stuff. Our wonderful attorney took care of that for us. But we didn't pay the bill because we felt we were negligent by not having it marked. Was the real issue that the line was not deep enough?
in this
Is that
case,
what I'm hearing?
we really have 3 cases now. So
Yeah.
we're going to call this case number 1
Got
that
it.
you're referring to. It was, part of it was that it was not deep enough. The other part of it was that they just put that line under a cattle guard.
Yeah.
Instead of going out around the cattle guard, tunneling under the road, or boring under the road, or even trenching it, they just ran it under the cattle guard. So when they cleaned the cattle guard out, they hooked that phone line. I would never dream that you would locate a phone line under a cattle guard.
That'd be silly.
But
That was the easy
So-
way out, they just threw it under there.
So case number 1. Case number 2, about a week ago, one of the blade hands hooked a phone line and tore it out. It was, they estimated at 6 inches below grade, which is unacceptable. We have not heard anything other than the fact that CenturyLink said they would investigate that and act accordingly. So Tony's aware of that with CenturyLink. And then yesterday, they hooked another line that they thought was between 6 and 8 inches below grade. So it's an ongoing problem. These locates, these call one locates, they will not indicate the depth. They only tell you within 3 feet
Right.
of where the line is. So we had that conversation last night too, and one of the guys that does a lot of the locate said, you know, if I can, I will try to help you determine the depth, but Caliber says they got a guy and he'll hand dig it with a shovel until they find it. So he said, we're gonna do everything we can to avoid that. They were plowing in roughly 60,000 linear feet of cable, as I understand it, in 3 different areas of the county, kind of off out. Little Horn Road. I didn't know this. There's 2 Little Horn Roads.
Yeah, I know they are confusing as
Do
heck.
you know where they're at?
Yeah.
I didn't. I only knew the one
do.
going just a spur off a Horn Road. And then I find out yesterday there's one in Silver Cliff Heights. So they're working out there. They're working kind of over in the Waikegel area and
Yeah, there's
then
one
one
down.
other area. So they thought they would be done by the end of September. That's their plan.
And that's why he
So,
didn't want to miss that. There is no delay, I'll talk to Tim about it.
Tony had a conversation with Kunkelman yesterday afternoon, and he told him that it wasn't a delay, this was just a
Oh, okay, so that was
pre-construction
after I
delay.
talked.
So,
Good.
so anyway, that was, I know Roger was, he's still highly agitated about the whole billing from case number 1. And he said, you know, we need to address that before I start signing all these contracts, because it was the only leverage we had. Kunkelman probably got word of that and thought we were ready to put a halt on the whole project. So I wonder, Counselor, if I provide you the name and address of Tony that was there yesterday representing CenturyLink, if we could just forward him all that stuff from that first case of where we paid the bill and we've refused to pay the administrative fee.
Sure.
I'll get that.
That's what I had asked. I told Tim yesterday that we would send a copy to him, so that's,
Well, then maybe instead of duplicating efforts, Meredith could do it to both. I have his card, I left it on my dresser. So if you'll hold off doing that until I get you Tony.
Meredith was gonna check to see if
Well, but Clint's
Clint,
got it all, so
I
let's
know,
just have
she
Clint
was,
do it.
she was just
Yeah,
checking.
I was
with
just
Clint.
about to say I don't have all
Yeah,
of the
let's let
documents.
Clint do it.
Yeah,
I
let
think I
Clint
came
get
in
it.
like
Yeah,
Right,
right.
yeah. Do you mind doing that, sir?
No, that's fine.
I may have both of those in my briefcase too. I'll look before we leave today. And Kunkelman and Tim Kunkelman and Tony, I forget his last name, but I've got his business card. So that kind of was the long and the short of that meeting. We talked about some safety and road closures. Currently there are no total road closures planned. There will be partial one-lane closures. The idea, the contracts are written that they will plow in the right-of-way unless they're geophysically incapable of doing that, and then they will come up onto the road surface and plow in. And then everything needs to be left in the pre-existing condition that it was in, including mag chloride on any roads, because they're going to get into some of that on the stretch road. So they're going to hire a company out of Fremont County to come up and re-mag chloride the roads, not mag chloride, but that's what we know it as. So I think it went pretty good. It lasted about an hour, and
It's good.
I'm gonna take it off my 17th.
yeah, I got to do the same thing. So we can
You
scratch
could
that.
go, you could go there with Clint.
Off of the 17th.
I'm very interested in that.
No, I was kidding
So-
because Clint goes to meetings that don't exist.
I'm sorry. Got
There
it.
were 3 companies there: Pauley Construction, Caliber, and Ranger was the third one, all out of Colorado Springs. And right now they're kind of planning on driving back and forth. And so I encourage them to look at the possibility of staying here locally in the motels and
Great idea.
see how that all goes. But good bunch of guys. Now, there were 2 of their quote-unquote workers. The rest of those were lead men, managers, but they all sounded like they were really committed to this deal, and we're excited to be here to try to help this CenturyLink. Tony said this is by far the biggest plowing job they've got going in the state right now.
Really?
Wonderful.
Yeah, so, yeah, so 10, 11 miles of fiber being plowed in on basically county road right-of-ways. Pretty serious. Then they're gonna pull another fiber down through, it's on the south side of Maine, and then I think that big conduit, they're gonna pull another one in there.
If I may, just, the fiber is strictly for internet broadband, is that correct?
Well, I can't say
Okay, I
that.
don't know, is the fiber's not voice or?
I don't know.
I would assume they're gonna
They-
do both. I
they
keep
were
looking back
talking
there,
to
Big Dale,
Connect
he may know
America.
They
more
know.
than I do, but.
Is that what it is, Dale?
It's both.
both,
Both, I would
probably.
think. I couldn't imagine just plowing fiber in only for
Not with
broadband, but
yeah.
I wasn't gonna say because I don't know. But,
Thanks.
all right, so that was that. Let me see here. I guess that was it since yesterday. So, anything else, gentlemen? Commissioner reports. Okay. We'll move on. I have nothing on Upper Ark report. I did just a quick thing. I reported yesterday on the Upper Ark report that the Cook statement of opposition, the water referee initially threw it out. Then they appealed that and said, no, we did send it in on time. We have record of that and blah, blah, blah. So I did get confirmation that the referee reinstated that. There were, I think, 4 or 5 people in that statement of opposition. So they're back in as an opposer officially. Yes.
That's KOCH, right?
Yeah, Barb Cook, K-O-C-H. Her name was first, so that's why they're calling it the Cook Statement of
I
Opposition.
thought
It's
I
Cook
just
et al.
knew it
But
wasn't C-O-O-K. I
Right.
wanted to verify
Yeah.
that.
yep,
Spelled the
yep.
same as Koch, the Koch
Right.
brothers in
Right.
Kansas.
Yeah.
Spelled the same.
Or Koch, like Ed Koch, the mayor in New York.
Koch
Yeah.
also, right.
It's funny how they pronounce the same thing 3 different ways.
Attorney items.
Well, as I was,
Drum roll, please.
now I hope this lives up to.
Yeah, it better.
And I've just been trying to absorb all this, and I certainly haven't had a chance to get through all of it. But the what Kelly gave me, and just a couple of things to highlight, just summarize what I'm finding here.
So 88 was correct while you're looking, sir. We talked about that yesterday, right?
Okay, well, there was the service plan, March 3 in 1988, and what I've got here, but it also says January 2015 revision, final.
Yes, that would have been after the November 14 election.
Right. But just to start with this, because as far as
Which document are you on, sir?
I'm starting with the
March 3.
service plan that's March
March
3,
3.
88 with the
We're
January
on your right
2015 revision,
Okay.
which looks like this.
They do call it the West Custer
Got it.
County Hospital District, too.
Yeah,
Custer County Clinic.
Custer County Medical Center.
Whatever they were
but-
doing
Over
back
here, they
before.
called it West Custer on the document.
But that was in 2015.
This one here.
Yeah, the point, I'm not sure when they became a formal or a special
It says 88,
district,
don't
but
it? No, it doesn't.
it doesn't
That
matter.
was in 88.
88 was when they came, and this was their service plan.
Right.
And it's, in this one, it says the district will also furnish ambulance service providing 24-hour emergency coverage. The history of this, because I remember back, I prepared the ballot initiative, or the language for that proposal, where they wanted to get funds to fund the ambulance EMS, but to make sure it was done, that money was kept separate. That was what was finally done in November of 2014. Because they had tried like a year before in 2013, and that one was not approved. But just to quote some language in here, it's on like the third page. It says the ambulance service will be provided by an emergency medical technician corps. A minimum number of the corps will be on call 24 hours a day and will be available through radio dispatch facilities. Will be supervised by clinic staff personnel. And this was all in 2015, and I remember because they submitted this, they wanted the commissioners at that time to approve this. The commissioners didn't take any action on it, and my research back at the time is that the commissioners had 30 days to either approve or disapprove of the service plan, and since they didn't, it just went into effect at that time.
Went into effect.
It went into effect, the modified service plan went into effect in 2015 because of no further action by the Board of County Commissioners to review it and have any comment on it. It talks about a map of the district being attached, and the map on the very back of this backside, it shows the east boundary line pretty much going through McKenzie Junction, north and south. It doesn't go all the way over to Wetmore, to San Isabel, or that area. That was the map of the district. I think that was the map from the beginning of the hospital
I think that's
district.
still
And that's it.
accepted map.
But anyway, they got this extra funding. But the interesting thing from going through all this is an agreement that was entered into January 3, 1989 between the Board of County Commissioners and the West Custer County Hospital District.
Now, which document are you
where
looking
you're
at,
in
sir?
It
I'm
looks,
just
it
trying
says
to-
agreement,
Okay, hold on just a second.
not the resolution. There's a resolution from 1987.
Probably, Tom, right behind that
There it is.
1987 because those were, right there.
Stuck together,
Okay,
thank you.
with this 1988 agreement, which as far as or 1989 agreement, excuse me, if you go down here, this is where the county actually turned over the ambulances. But if you look at number 4, the district agrees to pay all costs of operation and to provide ambulance service that has historically been provided by the ambulance corps, even though that service will be for areas outside the district.
Okay, hold on, what number is that, sir?
Number 4.
We just got these this morning.
Number
Right,
4,
that's
Tom.
number 4.
Okay, thank
Yeah,
you.
That was the agreement at the time, that in exchange for getting the ambulances, we were agreeing to provide the same service that had been provided previously, which
For that cost.
I'm,
Outside the district.
and I'm assuming that the ambulance corps provided service all the way to the county
Will you
line.
read number 4 again, please?
The district agrees to pay all costs of operation and to provide ambulance service that has historically been provided by the ambulance corps, even though that service will be for areas outside the district. So there was an agreement back then, they would provide ambulance service beyond the boundaries of the hospital district. If that's what the ambulance corps had been doing in the past, that may require some,
And I think they had, because there was no boundaries prior to that, it was county.
well, that's as I understand it, and the county had the ambulances, and we agreed to, the district desired to lease the ambulances from the board, and we agreed to, and they'll agree to be responsible for maintaining the ambulances and the equipment and everything, continue to be insured under the policies that the board of county commissioners has, but the district agrees to reimburse the board for the cost of that insurance. I have no idea if that's ever been done. But that was the agreement. I don't see that language, that agreement was ever changed or modified by anything that came along subsequent to that,
Yeah.
as far as I can see. So
So they're not obligated to stay in their boundaries as the cost, the way they're interpreting it today, it sounds like.
that's, I mean, when Lisa Drew was here, she was saying they can't continue to cover.
That's not true.
And according to this, they were agreeing they would way back then. And I don't know if everybody's just sort of ignored that. I mean, what was going on in 2015 is there was a lot of animosity between the Board of County Commissioners at that time, and especially Delwyn Lester as the director of the hospital. There wasn't any communication. He'd been invited in to meet with the commissioners. He wouldn't come in, and they wouldn't approve this without talking to him, and they just let this modified service plan, or the revision in January 2015, go. And then the hospital district, I don't remember how they did it, but they decreed or said it's now in effect because 30 days have passed. So that's been what they've been operating under. But even though they don't provide 24-hour emergency coverage, they stopped doing that. Well, maybe they are still doing that now, but they were supposed to be open also, I think, 24/7, and they cut their hours way back. That was what originally was agreed upon, and I think that was maybe the big change.
Go ahead, sir.
Council, in the 2015 revision, where it says final, I have not read this document yet, but was there anything in here that modified the 1989 agreement where it limited it only to the hospital district?
No, I don't see anything in here that changes that at all. I got a feeling nobody even knew that agreement existed at this time.
You dug all this out.
I think Mr. Drew's going to be happy with our response.
Well, I mean, because I think that agreement is still
I think that's
legally binding. I don't see that was ever changed despite
And you can't change it by just
ignoring
take a
it.
vote.
No, they, and like I said, there just wasn't any communication going on at that time.
Right.
So I think that's just, and this is obviously very cursory. I'm looking at this. I only had a few minutes head start.
Did we give Ms. Drew a copy of all of this? She needs a copy of that.
Not yet.
I just got it all together
I
this
think-
morning.
I think she will.
No matter
So
what,
you were here until what, midnight, 2
think
a.m.
differently.
working on this?
You think they'd have provided us
Did you do
this documentation?
Or were you here for something else too?
Living in some dream.
No, I was looking at this.
I'll bet if they dig through their files, they probably won't even find all this stuff anymore. But
I know what you're gonna say. I'll interrupt you.
This is probably involved in a dusty book.
cooperation between organizations, even though they're a special district, we need to share anything we find with them, plus positive or negative.
What we're gonna do is
I
say,
don't think we would want to hide a document from them.
Well, we're not hiding it. We're talking about it in a public meeting, so wouldn't be any hiding.
My personal opinion is we send her everything we have that's relevant to this particular issue, so we're all on the same page when we come down to
then we gotta talk
deciding
about.
how it's going to be resolved. That's my opinion.
Seems like the newspaper articles from before each one of these ballot initiatives, see what the quotes were, see what they were telling the communities, if they voted one way or the other on it, what was gonna happen, would be a good thing to have.
Somebody said that the
look at
Tribune
their
couldn't
minutes.
find it or something. Did somebody actually ask him?
Well, I also feel that Commissioner Flower was correct in his interpretation of the ballot question itself. not limiting the scope of the service that's going to be provided for the mill levy. Now, if the people in a specific area haven't been paying that mill levy, that's another issue, but the ballot initiative certainly doesn't restrict it to only the hospital district, in my opinion, and I thought that was very astute.
They,
Okay.
somebody made a statement that day that they never saw that ballot issue because they weren't offered the opportunity to vote
I
on
heard
it. Is that
that
true?
What district what precinct did they live in?
Down in Wetmore, is what he
They didn't,
say.
Yeah.
precinct
That was,
3 didn't vote on that.
that's what I'm saying.
Two.
Or two did not vote on it.
Not all of two, but
Well, yeah, it's not the whole
That was,
precinct, anybody
Mark,
outside of the district.
Mark Halpin made that statement, I think.
Right.
Mike?
Or Mike, I mean, it's Mark, my son.
I think we've kind of come to the agreement in our report. I think we have saying that our next ballot initiative that's coming up in 2020, this will be back on there for the folks who haven't been given the opportunity to participate.
Yeah.
But very interesting documents we found.
Good job, Kelly.
The other thing I think we need to look into to dovetail, sir, on we're still in the attorney's report. After doing some research yesterday, I am of the firm belief that the ambulance barn that we refer to it was paid for by RETAC money. And if that's the case, which I think it is, the clinic does not own that building. I'm gonna guess that RETAC grant went through the county commissioners, but we're gonna have to do some research on that. Southern Colorado RETAC. If the county paid for that building, then I get it that the clinic may think they own it. Right now, I'm convinced the clinic thinks they own that building. I don't believe that's the case.
Let's find out.
So if the commissioners decide to do anything with the quote-unquote ambulance corps, what it used to be called, then it would include the building, all the equipment, supplies, and of course the ambulances themselves.
What does the assessor say?
Don't know.
Kelly, is that something that you research, or is it how do we determine how that ambulance bond?
All this says in the agreement is it's just the equipment, doesn't say anything about land or buildings. It's just the equipment.
No, the building, there was a document in here, I believe, again, I haven't read them either, so I need to digest all of that.
2000 when that big building?
2002,
Was it 2000?
I think I saw something in here about that, so.
That's the case.
It came on in 97 and worked at least 2 years out of the little building.
Yes. So, I think that's something else we're gonna have to do, is determine the ownership of that building, how it was paid for. If you look at the next to the last page of the document with the little squiggly person on it. Of course, in those days, obviously, we didn't number any pages.
I think that's a doctor running to help the
The
patient.
above described real property is included within the boundaries, oh, I'm sorry, that's
Right.
not it. That's when they brought in the gym or the woods at Gym Mountain. Oh, thank you, sir. So that's not it, I apologize. So I just think there's some more research we're gonna have to do to figure that out. I would think we probably ought to ask council to continue to poke around in some of that as well as we certainly can too. I think we need to determine ownership of,
I know JD will show it as unassessed property,
right.
but beyond that,
but he'll be able to tell you who owns it.
yeah, I'm sure he can.
Obviously, Hague had donated that land. Now the big question is going to be, who did they donate it to? If they donated it to the clinic, then the clinic would own the land. The building, if it was bought with RETAC money, is not.
Well, there would have to have been some document of conveyance from the Hagas, so we'd
Yeah.
certainly see who it went to.
I think that was in '02, but
Okay.
Same
And
as
you're talking
that.
about the clinic building?
no, I'm talking about the ambulance barn.
The ambulance barn.
When they moved from
Right.
south of the old clinic to the ambulance barn. So,
But just from looking at what I see here, I mean, my initial conclusion is that we got an agreement from 1989 that obligates them to provide service outside the boundaries of their district, and that's never been set aside, that nothing that
Yeah.
Kelly has anyway, that she found. And I'll bet they can't come up with anything that would show that was a, and that's a contract, you know, that contract is good. We lived up to our end of it. We gave them, now I don't know who's been paying the insurance. I'll have to ask Donna if we pay the insurance.
Yeah.
We were supposed to be billing that to the hospital district, and I've got a feeling that may not have been happening.
Yeah, I think there's a general attitude of, well, that agreement's 30 years old, what difference does it make? Well, it makes all the difference in the world when a judge drops a gavel on a case, it will hold water.
It's still binding.
We don't have to have a judge ruling all this, but I guarantee you, I will support it if we need to do that, because we gotta get this stuff ironed out and figure out who's responsible to do what, and who's responsible financially for what.
Yeah, and then we work the highway, fix the problem of whether they have enough money to operate or not. They just need to know what to operate. We can
To
do
me,
that.
that's a separate issue.
That's a separate issue, that's what I said.
No, I agree with you. I'm
So,
agreed.
thank you, sir. Anything else?
No, that.
Yeah, give us a little time to digest this. Maybe we put this, let me look at the agenda real quick on the 17th. It might be already on there.
One thing we have to do is, she should not be doing anything until resolved. She's ready to stop service.
So, Ms. Meredith, could you put further further discussion of the EMS serving Wetmore area on the 17th?
We have that
I think we did that.
Pardon?
We have
Workshop.
that workshop that
There's a workshop after.
Yeah,
on that.
I'd like it in the meeting, so if we have something, we could always talk about it during attorney item, I guess, if you brought it up, but,
Just put on some.
So, Commissioner Cannon just brought up something that I think very relevant. Did they give us a date that they're gonna cease serving that area?
They did.
It's in that
They
letter.
did, they did.
yeah.
Letter,
It's
90
in that
days. and
email.
I think it has a
See
date.
if I can find it.
Why, given the legalities, they can't really.
Well,
do
I'm
that.
thinking that we need to absorb this and see if we feel it's correct.
Yeah,
And
let's,
and if it is, I think they need to be notified that we're gonna hold, that we will not accept their termination
That's right.
date based upon their arbitrary decision to do that. And if
Based upon what they know is
necessary,
they're
we may have to
required.
get an injunction or something to keep them from ceasing operations.
So Florence stopped it
That's
on
true.
the 23rd of June.
yes.
And Lisa's contention was they weren't stopping anything. They never had anything to stop.
Right, that's exactly where they're coming from. We haven't stopped anything. We were never
They are
obligated to
not
do
in
it.
our
Not gonna
district,
take over that
end of-
responsibility that
end of
Fremont
story.
stopped. I see, I got you, I understand what you're saying. Then they have to take up the slack.
Can I get a copy of that letter from, I think I had it, but I probably didn't save it.
And that's the way it ought to be couched, Jay, because then that puts the urgency into what they need to do. It's not, to fix that. If
And
they
that's
have
why I
to.
think it's imperative to
This
get
is
these
real.
documents to them so that they can say,
This says the letter dated June 6, 2019 stated that we will continue to respond to mile marker 20 on Highway 96, which is the boundary of the hospital district, eastern boundary, and mile marker 15 on Highway 165 through September 5, 2019. Doesn't mean anything as far as Wetmore. She's not addressing east of Wetmore, so.
Which this does. If they were going to Wetmore originally.
Did the hospital district have an IGA with the Florence ambulance company? Do you know if
I don't know
there was
that.
any kind of an arrangement, just an informal thing that they were doing?
They always reference Fremont in here.
So yeah, let me read this then. So, in addition, the need of EMS services to Wetmore, it has been discovered that Custer County EMS has been responding to mile marker 17 to 20 on Highway 96 and mile marker 1 to 15 on Highway 165 outside the West Custer County Hospital District since moving from a volunteer service in April of 2014 to a paid service. Since discovering this, we feel it is not appropriate for us to continue to provide services on an ongoing basis to residents of Custer County who reside outside of the Special Tax District. CCEMS will continue to respond to these areas for the next 90 days, ceasing response on September 5th, 2019.
There's the two different.
All right, thanks.
The way I listen to that, it sounds to me like that is your drop dead date. We've dumped it in your lap, commissioners. You solved this problem because as of that September date, it's your problem now, not ours. That's the way I'm interpreting that. I'm saying it kind of in the vernacular,
Sure.
but that's the way I understand it.
And if this is real, then they can't do that.
Well, that certainly would appear to be that they jumped the gun, and obviously I agree with council that they are unaware that this
That's
document
right.
exists.
If they don't want to do it voluntarily, then I'm assuming a judge will decide the language and what's applicable and what
And
isn't.
like Jay said, an injunction may be necessary, a temporary injunction to prohibit them from discontinuing.
Yeah, until it's all
providing
resolved and how we
service. Keep
resolve
everything the way it's
finances
at.
and everything else.
Right.
Okay.
But I don't mean a Pollyanna here, but regardless of how we do this, they have a terrible problem over there. And I think a lot of it is mismanagement. I'm not blaming Ms. Drew. I think it may have come well before her. I'm not sure the management has handled the hospital and the ambulance as well as it probably could be. But if it is truly an issue, we need to figure out how we're going to take care of our citizens in this county. So, and I think failure to give these documents to them would create more of an adversarial stance between us and them, and that is the last thing I want to do. I want to work out a cooperative resolution to however we're going to handle whatever this problem is.
Okay.
That's just my opinion, and forgive me for saying it the way I did.
As commissioners, I can tell you we are taking some serious bullets on this issue from the clinic. So
And what does that mean?
that means that they are not happy of us poking around in their business and being critical of how it's been happening.
Well, we're not.
They never have.
And that's all the more reason, Jay's right, send this over to them.
And I agree, Bill. And Tom, I get it, but the more we put up walls between us, the worse this will be for our citizens. We need, if that is true, and I'm not discounting what you're saying, we need to take the high road. We need to cooperate with them and try and get this resolved for the citizens of this
I
county.
agree.
Regardless of their attitude and how they handle it.
Yeah, I that's where I shake out, whether they're upset or threatened or whatever. I don't care. We got to do what's right about this.
That's right.
Providing service to those people in Wetmore and anywhere else. So,
Correct.
obviously, they've included the woods at Jim Mountain. They brought those in their district afterwards. There's a resolution in that packet, so we'll read through all that.
I'll
So
read it carefully.
they have changed. And obviously, we're talking about 30 years worth of different management, different board of directors, and so on and so forth. But, yes, ma'am.
One more piece of research that might be important is when did they go from their reason for providing ambulance service, because even Keith Hood said that was the original reason.
Right.
When did they decide to become a clinic
Yeah,
and do
and there's a date in
clinic?
here, because it dovetails with a ballot initiative to establish that district, or the clinic.
Had to be before '88 because they called it a clinic then.
So, yeah, we'll call this a clinic for years.
Yeah, see,
Oh,
that's
sure.
West
And they saw patients over there.
Yeah.
Custer County Medical
Oh,
Clinic.
you could walk in. Yeah, you brought up some
Well-
great things, Kelly. Thank you for the research.
Well,
Clint,
this
thank
is
you for
Very awesome.
that. Anything else, sir?
No, that's
On
it.
your turn?
It's enough out of you, Clint. We're tired.
Admin assistant? Nothing today? Okay. Public
Not my fault,
comment?
she's just too efficient.
Yeah, that's great. Public comment from anyone? Okay, we'll move on. Staff report. We're only 45 minutes late, so I apologize. Come up, gentlemen. Welcome.
I know that Lynn and Bob appreciate learning new things every time you come.
Yes, we do.
How are you, sir?
Good morning, sir.
Morning.
Lynn, how are you?
All right.
Good to see you.
Good morning, sir.
How's things going?
Hey, Lynn,
Give you a special deal, $5 for fuel.
$5 a gallon or $5 to fill my 5-gallon?
$5 a gallon.
Big difference. Let's see, did we get a report? Let me look.
No,
Okay,
you about to.
okay.
That's what he's here for. Give it to us.
Okay, June, we sold 546.2 gallons of fuel.
That's good.
We got about 1,300 gallons left. We also leased 3 lots in June, 2 to Mr. Otto, lot 17 and 18, and 1 to Mr. Legree, lot 11.
See, he's squatting on it already.
What's the price of
Got
those?
your TP on it.
Pardon me?
What's the lease price of those?
On,
What is that, 9?
on autos, it's $312 a lot.
No,
$312
A lot
per year.
12, so
per
we
year.
11.
And 11, that's 300.
Okay.
And the difference is one's 50 foot by 50 and the other's 52 by 50.
Okay.
Which means we've only got 2 lots left, 9 and 19. We've got 13, 14, and 15, but they're not buildable because they're so low.
Yet they're.
Interrupt you. I spoke to the gentleman, remember I did a month or so ago, I think I remember, I spoke to you about a gentleman who did a lot of grading on his property. He has a mound of dirt. And he said he'd be happy to donate that to the airport. So if you like, I could get your, whoever it is with this gentleman, very nice man, he's building a house. Probably not enough for what you need, but it's
To start,
a lot of, it looks to me like a lot of dirt.
okay, great.
And that's within one of the 2 towns.
It's in West Cliff, it's on, I believe it's 4th Street, maybe, yeah, 4th Street, I believe it is.
Is that Coleman's?
The little brick house.
Yeah, the one that did build the brick house right there.
Okay.
If you look, there's a tremendous, he's gonna keep a little bit, he needs to level off of one spot, and he said the rest of it he'd be happy to donate.
West of Sanchez's.
Anyway, we've got one hangar that's currently under contract. Mr. Legree has contracted to have his hangar built. And Mr. Otto, I've talked to him on a couple of occasions. Of course, he wanted me to put dirt on his property, and I told him he's talking to the wrong person. But anyway, he's contemplating between 2 42 by 50s or an 80 by 40. And it seems like he changes his mind every day on which way he wants to go.
He has lots currently.
Currently, yes, he's got 17 and 18.
Oh, he's talking about,
Yeah,
okay.
auto.
It's the one that we looked at, the big.
And we are currently laying out our new taxi lane and where we're going to put the new hangars and all that kind of good stuff. So we got that. We had to put a couple of no parking signs over where the
Navajo.
know where the gates are to go from Civil West Airport to Civil West Estates.
Oh, yeah.
because somebody parked a big airplane in front of those gates
In front of the gates?
and left it there for a week, and nobody knew
Who
how
it
to,
was, huh?
how to get it.
Impound.
Well, we know who it was because we just got the tail number. But anyway, we didn't know where he was.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, you need to probably put some stripes on the pavement.
we
there.
did. We put some stripes on the pavement, and we put some no parking signs up there, so hopefully that doesn't happen again. But it was a problem because we got one gentleman that has an airplane in Silver West Estates that uses a lot of fuel. Jim Van Buskirk.
Oh, yeah.
He flies that airplane a lot, and it uses 80 or 90 gallons every time he gets off the ground. So, of course, we've got all the advertisement for our Fly Fest, our fly-in, coming up August 24th, and they're all over town. I hope everybody has seen them. We're also putting ads in both the local papers, and we got on order a fuel transfer pump, because I don't know if you've noticed it. If you've been into any of the airport board meetings, most of us have gray hair. And diesel fuel weighs 7.1 pounds per gallon. And right now, the only way we've got to get it into the tractor is hold it overhead to pour it in there.
Not
So
acceptable.
anyway, we ordered an electric pump to help us with
They're
it.
so squishy.
I know, bunch of whiners. Sorry.
Including you.
I know.
And right now, we've got a group of people out there that have been good friends to the airport for several years. They got those little powered parachute type things.
Oh, yeah, I saw their rig out there. Pretty cool.
They were flying this morning.
Right. They generally fly only first thing in the morning because of the winds. But anyway, they've been good friends for a long time, and they asked our permission to camp out there, and since it's in our rules and regs that you can camp, of course we always tell them yes. So anyway, they're
I
there.
talked to both of them yesterday. And pretty nice guys.
Yeah, they're really good people. They really are. So anyway, that's what's going on at the airport. If anybody's got any questions,
Got a
I'd be
quick
happy.
one. You brought up the fly-in 24th.
Yes,
Brian Wood's wife, and I can't remember her name now. Just
Dina.
Dina said that they're an organization that is wanting to team up with the airport fly-in. Would you give her a call, because they want to do something at the same time? And
Got her number.
you got her number already?
I've been
been
known
talking with them?
I've known them ever since I've been here in
Yeah.
LA.
But she caught me in Tony's Pizza yesterday, and because they've been going through a wedding, she hadn't had a chance to talk to anybody. And I gave her Brian Anderson as point of contact on that, and you, of course. So you might want to
Yeah.
call her and figure out what she's got planned.
I'll give her a call. Yes, sir.
I have three quick questions. What is the price of fuel now?
$4.43.
Thank you.
Average in the area is $4.66. Of course, Walsenburg is
$3.62.
$1.75. Yeah.
We don't even look at them, so.
yeah.
What's the status of the courtesy cars? Courtesy car?
This is it. Mr. Dupree. Oh. The stuff I gave you last meeting, we had 2 hours that they could have the car. At our meeting, everybody kind of agreed to, you can barely go to town and have something to eat in 2 hours. So we've upped that to 4. And we're still trying to find somebody that knows about the insurance. We've heard about the county, it's under an umbrella with the county's vehicles. We've heard that some don't have it, that the leaser or renter or whatever you want to call them, it's covered with their insurance. Another airport manager said he didn't have a clue if they were insured or not. So we've heard everything
I guess I've got to nail that down,
Yes, we're
obviously.
working on that.
And some of the insurance companies we talked to actually hung up on us.
Yeah.
Well, don't call them.
Talking Progressive yet?
Well, when they hear it's a county vehicle, driven wherever, they don't even want to talk about it, so.
CTSI has informed us that they will not,
They won't do it.
Right.
we cannot cover them.
Do an umbrella over the.
Which was the whole fly in the ointment from day one is
Right,
insurance.
right,
That's the big deal.
Yeah.
So obviously you're running into the same problem.
yes, so, but,
But we are aware.
I mean, we're not creating the wheel here, other counties have this, so it's just finding the right place to give us the right answer.
Ones that have it, you get
So the
get
other
the
counties
name
can
of
give
the
you some
company
answers
that's
to how
covering
they
it.
do it.
Yeah,
And my last question is the crack cement with the fire truck broken,
Yes.
is that under anything happening there?
No, not yet. We've still been trying to get Kit to come out and do the surveying, and I'd rather not torque him off
I understand,
until,
sure.
That reminds me too, and that's good, I'm glad you brought it up. That's what Dina had, the issue, they want to get the fire truck out and do a PR deal on the same day you're doing your, you know, the air show.
not my fire truck.
Definitely one
On
to look
whose
at.
behalf, Bill? I didn't quite catch
The
it.
district, the fire district, Dina.
She's involved with the
Yeah,
fire
she's
district.
involved, she and Brian. So they want to do,
Well,
because they've got that station set up and another one they did, they want to have a coming out party or something, so it sounded like.
yeah. Well, the surveying thing and the concrete thing has nothing to do with each other.
Right.
Right.
I get where you're coming from, but that's a bunch of bull. If we need to have the surveying done, that has nothing to do with the fire district. If we need to get the concrete repaired in front of in front of your
Yeah.
base, then let's move forward with that. I don't care about
Okay.
the surveying. That's a paid deal.
We'll get it done.
We'll get it done.
So
All right.
if you need the commissioners to request the fire department take care of that problem, I believe we will do that. I'm not speaking for the commissioners, but
You can speak
Well,
for me,
I
because I feel
certainly
the same way. We
will
need
draft a
to,
letter.
Okay.
Let me-
urgency.
Because we've kind of taken the easy approach here and let things and nothing's happened, right?
Right,
That's
right.
correct.
And I'm certain the
You
more
talked
that
to
it's cracked and more vehicles roll over it, the worse
Oh,
it
it's
gets.
Every
getting
time they
worse.
move it in and
It
out.
needs to get repaired.
And they
Okay.
do know about it.
Oh, yeah, they're
Yeah,
aware of it.
yeah.
Sure they are.
Yeah, they are aware of it. So,
So if
So I
we
guess it's
need,
just take the next step.
So if we
like
need to
you're
get a
saying.
little more forceful with it, I think we need to do that. I agree with you completely.
do you want me to send an email to the fire department requesting that they repair that as soon as possible?
Bring my
preferably
backhoe over and dig it up. and
Before
they'll
the
be
end of
forced to.
July? You guys fine with that?
I'm fine with that.
yeah,
Request them to do
Sure,
it
just,
before the
we
end of
need
July?
that, we need it fixed before the end of July, so we got it ready for the flying.
Right.
we could,
And they gotta get in and
All
out.
that work,
we could always dig it
just
up.
replacing that center section.
They'll cut it out, pour it in. They'll subcontract somebody to do it,
Right.
but yeah,
But
I'm
then
sure they will.
Be a thicker pad.
Probably more concrete, or more
Yeah.
rebar.
More
I
re,
guess.
and.
They
more
might
road-
dig it down.
More road base under it too. Man,
Yeah, I don't
Don't tell
know
them
how-
what they poured on
Yeah,
before.
I don't know how that was originally poured.
Could be a problem with compaction, could be a problem with
Yes.
subgrade.
Yeah, who knows?
Might not be any rebar in, who knows?
Right.
Probably not.
I just
You're
want-
right, there's probably no rebar in it.
I will,
Crack like
I'll draft an email and send to,
Who knows?
I don't know if it needs to go to the fire chief or the chairman of the board of directors.
Send it to the chief.
I'd send it to the chairman of the board.
I would too. That's
Just
where I
in
would.
case
Who is the chairman of the board?
knows what's going on.
Yeah.
Just thinking though too, if they get heavy equipment to pull that pad out or bust it up or whatever happens, if they don't break up
Right.
the other
We'll
piece.
make sure they do it right.
Yeah, or the taxiway.
Yeah, something out, yeah.
That is
Jack
a,
that taxiway up.
that is a taxi lane.
Oh, excuse me.
Yeah. All
Okay,
right.
There is a
anything else?
No, sir.
I got a couple things. Want to share with you a statement that we got in a letter from our auditor. I kind of asked what he thought would happen or should happen. He really didn't clarify that, but he reported that fuel sales and gross margins at the airport should be monitored on a continuous basis to ensure that all sales and costs are properly reflected. It's nice that we have the people that matter here. Thank you, Donna, for having to come in, stepping in right now. So I said, well, what do you want them to do? They report to us every month. And he said, well, we have to make sure that we have a very accurate inventory, fuel, January 1, December 31. I'm assuming we do that, but there's something going on that he's not happy with, so we need to figure out what that is. And
It would help if he would give us a little bit of specifics
direction
on
yeah. And we can follow
what
up
the
with Sam
problem
about that.
is.
One thing that I heard along that same line is, I thought he said that he knows you're doing that, but we started, whenever they got formal, we started in arrears somehow, and you're carrying a negative balance or something with it, Tom, a couple thousand bucks or whatever.
Yeah.
We'll get Sam to tell you exactly what he said.
I can tell you what part of the problem is one of our former chairman used to do the fuel, and he took the gross, what was said to be gross sales for the year and reported. What he didn't do was take into consideration 2 or 3 times a week we go out and do a fuel check, and it shows up as a sale in the report.
So he had more sales than
But that goes back into the recovery tank. So
so it wasn't a
what
sale.
he is reporting and what is reality
That may have
aren't
been-
the same,
been-
because he never put that back. I do.
You heard that yesterday.
Right, and I know it was much improved.
Yeah,
Yeah, he
I was
said
going to follow
He
up.
didn't have a beef.
Yeah.
That you were.
Clearly, they've said this is an improvement over what happened last year and prior to. So we're making progress. But I just thought, we don't want the airport on here at all.
That's fact.
We don't want them talking about the airport, other than, man, they're doing a great job. So that's the only reason I bring it up, is maybe we hook you up with Sam
Why
and
don't you
say, what do you
get on the phone
need from
with
us, and I will make it
with
happen.
Sam.
That would be
Yeah,
good.
that would be
But he
good.
is
If we could
changing the
face to
fuel
face with
prices.
him.
Specifics.
You know,
Yeah.
We've had to take a little longer, and that has helped a lot.
Yeah, he was a little nervous about this fluctuating
on there,
fuel
but
price
It's
thing.
been much better, and you have stuck the tank, because that had been an issue one year. I mean, there's just been, quite a few little flukes, and this is the best it's been, I feel.
Yeah, he wasn't super critical. It was just, I thought you guys should know
Yeah.
that it was flagged a little bit, so.
But like I said, I've been taking it out and reporting it as being returned to the tank, so
Right.
that what we're reporting in there and what the sales show is closer
Because
together.
you're running it through the meter when you're pulling it out.
Yes, it's the only place we can pull it out.
You can't dip right out of the tank and
No.
check it. Okay. So would you, if it's appropriate, would you get with Don and get his name and phone number and call him and say, hey, they brought this up. We're happy to do whatever we need to do to clean up the books
Yeah,
for the
Okay.
county.
I'd be happy to do that.
Good. And then I wanted to ask you, did you see this new map with the survey pinpoints on it yesterday?
No,
Okay.
I stopped at
And
that.
now it must be going back to the drawing board because apparently we had some issues.
Right.
Based on the meetings I attended, I didn't think what you expected to have happen out there happened on that map, but I could be wrong.
Right.
You
I
looked
stopped
at it
over
with
there
Don-
before I came here this
Okay.
morning.
Okay, so you've
I
seen
told her
it.
because it looks like on the map, the row of new hangars is back to back with the existing
Right.
hangars.
Right.
And
which
that's-
you can't do that.
And that's, we just can't have that. That's
Right.
all there is to it. So
Yeah.
so I
Can't
just
do
thought,
that.
well,
Everything's
whatever
moving.
happened to get to that map, from my perspective, was just a waste because we didn't get what.
Right.
Somebody staked it. Who staked it?
We did.
It was you guys, right? Wasn't
Right.
Kit?
Right.
Jackie was under the impression Kit did it, and I said no. I thought you guys did. So anyway, that's easy to fix. You got it under control.
Yeah.
Well, they're
We
gonna
just
he'll
need-
have
we
to
have-
go back out there and resurvey it all.
We just
Well, he
need to
didn't
get
survey it.
Jackie on board with what we're
These
thinking,
guys did.
so that when Kit goes, he's on board with what we want, and what needs to happen.
Yeah,
What
because,
you
Give
were
him a
expecting, you
sketch.
didn't get.
Tell him what you
Right.
want.
Yeah.
but anyway, those hangers can't be back to back
Right.
because
You've got utilities.
utilities that have to go in.
Yeah, and
One,
bags.
propane tank.
We fully understand that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
But you're on top of the map thing.
Yes, sir.
And then it becomes a blur after a while, but somebody in a meeting said, oh, and by the way, you got people living on your airport. I said, no, we don't. Yeah, there's people living in those hangars. I said, no, they're not.
No.
Said they may be living in a private hangar across the road to the east, but I said, do not confuse that with county airport, because I can guarantee you nobody's living in those hangars.
Absolutely.
Absolutely nobody. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes,
I wanted to
over,
make sure I wasn't shooting my mouth off.
No.
over at Silver West Estates, there are a lot of people that live in their hangar. Their residence is upstairs, and there's quite a number of those. But on the airport, there is nobody living in any hangar. Guarantee you.
I assured them that was not happening.
No water, no sewer, that'd be tough to do.
Well,
Plus,
they do it all the time in this county. Believe me, it's not that hard.
And there may be times they see lights on in those hangars. That's because these die-hard mechanics will stay there all night playing with them.
So anyway, I just wanted to run that by you, and,
Okay.
There is
No,
nobody living there.
and I just think there's some value in even knowing that people think that, so that you can.
Well, you know, I get calls a lot from people who want to talk about leasing property at Silver West Estates. And I keep telling them this is not Silver West Estates. So there is some confusion on which is which.
Get your realtor's license, you can have
Yeah, and go in and have a little side business. You might talk with Gary Hyde too at some point and see if they ever are down in that area and have a bunch of unwanted fill to start on, what was it, 13, 14, and 15?
We've already done that.
Already, let me pick it up there because I was gonna bring this up. I did take Gary down there and we did drive around and we showed him where the fill goes. And on top of that, Bob McDonald claims he's got this grader, magic grader.
They do.
You can rough a road in if you wanted to. But I noticed what we need, and Gary said he can do it. Make a sign that says filled, you know, point some arrows for you to direct them where you want it to be, and change it if you need to. And I noticed as you turn into the on Airport Road and you start going east on the right side, you'll see two posts. Look like an old gate was there before.
Going east?
Going from the highway east.
Oh, okay.
Before you get to the turn to go into the airport, take a look there. Look at a good spot so that they're not coming in and we're not handing out a gate code all the time. Because you'll miss people with dirt that knows there's dirt out there and they won't have the code. So, you guys can work up with Gary with where the signs need to go and where to put a gate. He said put a culvert in there for now.
Okay. All right, anything else, gentlemen? Nope. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
That's doing a correct.
Thanks.
Thank you.
I heard you talking about
I'm sorry about the airport, but I
I
did.
have a photo of
Really,
the
was
last
it a
time
little
you guys had
dicey
courtesy car insurance.
Historically.
If the numbers would help you.
Absolutely.
Next item of business is a treasurer's report. We're gonna move on. If you guys wanna move to the hallway, it'd be great. Ma'am?
Get the heck out of here.
Yeah.
She may have
I'm
left.
getting booted out of here.
Yeah,
No,
well,
I'm gonna need 5.
okay.
3.
By consent, we'll be in, let's wait and deal with her real quick.
There you go.
Because they just called and I died. We're good. We will deal with treasurer's report, and then we'll take a 3 or 4 minute break. I saw that lip. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you? I know this is your
Good
second trip.
That's okay. Meredith thought it was almost done. So.
Okay.
And we just saw this.
I know.
Hopefully this is different though, right?
What's that?
I say hopefully it's different though.
Yeah, it's a little different. Yeah.
Need to bring anything to our attention?
No.
Straightforward.
Yeah, it's all pretty straightforward.
I move we accept the treasurer's report as presented for June 1st through June 30th, 2019.
I'll second it.
We move to second to approve treasurer's report. Discussion. I know Sam shared with us a few things yesterday. Most of it kind of, I was a little glazed over by the time we got to the end of it, but
About,
Well, he had just mentioned that we had the 4 funds that were kind of grouped together because they didn't meet the thresholds of having their own budget line, basically.
which groups were they?
Those were, the airport
Yeah, the
did get
airport.
their own line. 'Cause
This
they-
year, because they magically crossed the dollar sign because of
I think that
the
was
money
on
we've been
page
getting from OT 6, basically.
32.
Oh, okay. Their budget.
Yeah, not big.
CTF, tourism.
Tourism, these small funds are grouped together under the general fund. He said something might think about. We asked him what's the advantage of having it being its own fund.
Actually-
And he said there is no advantage.
Airport is their own fund,
Yeah, I know.
yeah.
See, and I
tourism
thought
is
they
their
were,
own
but then the
fund.
way he talked about it, he said, well, and maybe he's talking a little different deal, that they move into a different category.
I
So
think
it
it's
might
how
have
he
been a
is.
single
I think-
audit.
Yeah, that's
though.
right. It's how you audited it and
Right,
whether it
right.
showed up.
Yeah, those are all single,
Single
those are all.
audit,
Yeah, they already are.
Yeah, they're already
So, I don't know, we looked at so much stuff yesterday.
I don't think there was any issue.
Okay. Yeah, I have no control over what they get in their budgets.
Right, okay.
We just receive it.
So the airport is, they have their own
Yeah, they're their own
audit.
fund.
It was tourism, CTF,
Conservation Trust is, we have it separate. Yeah, they're all
yeah.
separate.
So, oh, the contingency fund was one.
Yeah, and see, these are all, shows you right there.
So, I didn't get it that out of that conversation with him that we needed to change anything. I just wanted to mention that airport for their single audit thing went out and stayed. Further discussion?
No.
Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, nay. Motion carries. For June 2019's been approved, I guess.
I just wanted to mention that we usually get money from sale and land and material, and that's split out 3 ways. It's split out road and bridge to the 2 schools, RE2J and C1, according to student count. We got 23 cents
Sale of land
and material.
and material from the county.
No, from the
From
state.
the,
Got 23 cents. That was big of them.
so then we're in pretty good shape.
Did they mail it? Did they waste the money sending
Oh,
it with a
yeah,
stamp?
yeah. But I want to tell you, and I don't know, we have a report we have to send to them, and we didn't split it out because what you have to do is 25 to the school and 75 to Road and Bridge %. And then when you give the 25 to the school, you have to do per student count, and I think RE2J is 1.98 or something like that. It's almost impossible to split that out. So right now we took it all to Road and Bridge, the whole 23 cents, and we'll see if I get grief from the state about it.
Hope they don't waste it.
That was an interesting thing that he did bring up, was we got a couple things that the state never has done before.
Right.
2 of them, one dates back to 2002, I think, or one, something like that. A few $1,000 that they should have gotten back on a grant for the hospital, or for the HR guy, or the Laura Lockhart stuff.
Okay. Yeah.
And there's another one more recent than that for a couple thousand. We just keep carrying apparently until they hammer us for it. Get it back.
McDonald's reported we're reimbursed from the state twice, and the state's never asked for that money back yet.
This is my PT report. You guys supposed to
Physical
look at
therapy report.
It's your own fund report.
Yeah, it's my own fund report.
You just did that. Has it been, I guess it has
It's
been
third,
another
second
quarter.
quarter, yeah.
Jeez.
6 months.
Going, sailing, my time is sailing by.
And I guess while you were here, you are at this thing. We're getting ready, I think, to act on a land transaction this morning.
Okay.
And that, we've got that all lined out. That money is earmarked to go into the Justice Center Fund.
Do you know how the county got it?
That's why I'm looking
How
at
what?
how
How
we
the
got
county
that land.
received
Was
it.
it on a warranty deed or transfer?
How we're giving it by a deed
But how we
How
got
we
it,
received it in the
how we
beginning.
received
It was failure to pay
Delinquent.
taxes and nobody
Okay,
came
then-
in and bought it.
You Is that a tax lien, is what you're saying?
There was not a tax lien. Well, there was a tax lien, but nobody else ever came in and bid on the property, so it just defaulted to the county many, many years ago.
And we sold it.
Or we're going to.
Absolutely, yeah.
Well, statute says if it has anything to do with that kind of sale, and I'm not know if it's a sale, that it has to be split between the entities.
And that's why I'm asking you.
Yeah, you know, JD says there was never a sale. I mean, it's just, according to what he knows about it, it was just, it became the county's property because nobody else ever did anything on it. Nobody,
It defaulted.
yeah, it just
It was a
defaulted.
default.
Yeah, I don't know.
Work with me here.
That's what my statute says.
I know.
If it's in a, if
That's
it's
why I brought
from
it
a
up,
tax
'cause I knew
lien
you had
sale,
some.
you have to
But it
split
did not
wasn't a
go
tax
through a
lien
tax
sale.
lien sale.
No, it didn't, because that was what I asked. I thought maybe there was a treasurer's deed and there never was.
Okay.
So we're gonna do a warranty deed on it, correct?
We're doing a
No,
quick
Or
claim.
quit claim.
We're just saying
They
we're
don't
county-
need a
county
warranty
deed, it's
deed.
called.
No, she's sitting out there right now.
Yeah, so you're okay?
I have no say in
All
it.
right.
You
good.
guys are the
As long
bosses.
as you don't have a say, then you're okay. All right, anything else, ma'am?
No,
Okay. Because I didn't want to do this morning and have you come back and say, gentlemen, you need
can't
to
do
just...
that.
you need
Broke
to
the
sit
law.
down."
I disavow any knowledge of this.
Yeah, yeah, and our attorney is claiming the fifth. Thank you, ma'am, appreciate
We
it.
can have 18 minutes of a recording disappear.
Yeah.
20-minute break.
By consent, we'll take a 3-minute break. Meeting will come back to order. Our next item of business is the extension. Oh, no. Public health report.
How is it?
Good morning. How are you?
How's the new digs?
Awesome.
Oh, they're
So
wonderful.
nice.
And the food was great. Let's do
It's
it.
Thank
a long
you.
I wish I
commute
could have
from
been
there to
there.
get down to here for
Yeah.
these meetings.
Yeah, I know.
Did you save any?
No, because then I took it to the Saddle Club meeting. I don't have a whole lot of new stuff other than we've moved, we're settled in, we're doing business. I gave shots this morning. Everything's going great. Yeah. So, kind of business as usual, really. I have a new EPR coordinator, Miss Cindy Flower. Her first day was yesterday, and she.
Nepotism.
No, it's not nepotism. We already looked into that.
What does EPR coordinator mean?
Emergency preparedness and response. So that's super exciting for me. Hopefully for
How's
her
that
too.
position funded?
Through grants, and I budgeted it in this grant cycle. So
You talk about Miss Flowers.
yeah,
Tell me about the child fatality team. Are you gonna have to have a meeting on that at some
we
point?
will. So I'm waiting at this point to get the death certificate and the official cause of death, and then we'll proceed from there.
Okay, because I'm on that team. So
Okay.
I've got to be involved in that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So as soon as I get that information, I'll put it out because Shanna and a few other folks will be too. So put that all together
All right.
when the time comes for that. Yeah. So that jail nursing is going really well, I think. I texted Shannon a little bit ago. I haven't heard back from him, but I know it's on the agenda for later.
Do you want to
But
deal with it later, or you want to deal with it now?
I'd rather just deal with it now if that's okay because
I'm fine with
I'd rather
changing
not.
the agenda.
Okay. Nobody else needs to be here for that.
I don't
Shannon
think so.
wasn't
I
expecting to
texted
be.
him and he said, I mean, I haven't got anything back from him. So.
Okay.
I am slotted for 8 hours a week to be over there. I've been over there 8 hours a month the last 2 months. So, which I think is still perfectly fine. They call me when they need me. They email me if there's a new inmate. I just went there this morning. I check in at least once a week for like at least a half an hour, make sure everybody has enough meds to get through the week. I think it's going pretty well. But I don't.
Remind me, do you get paid by the hour for that? Okay, so the expense to the sheriff is less than he anticipated?
Yes.
Got it.
Yes, quite a bit less because
Sure.
I'm not doing 8 hours a week, and I don't feel. I mean, I'm not going to just go sit over there and twiddle my thumbs for 8 hours a week if I don't need to.
appreciate
So, I go when I'm needed and keep my nose out of it when I'm not.
Got it. Okay.
So, and sometimes I spend 12 hours in 1 week, but then I'm not there like the rest of the month unless they call me. So, yeah, so it's been pretty good, I think. There is some issue with mental health, getting mental health care there. However, I did get an email yesterday from Solvista saying that they would be more helpful going forward. So we'll see what that looks like, but hopefully that's true. Because the other thing I'm working on with the jail is getting like mail service meds so that our deputies don't have to go to Fox Drug in Florence and pick it up, and that's kind of a nightmare. So hopefully within the next month we'll get that program figured out. So it's cheaper. It's just a little bit more work on my part, which is totally fine. I just have to make sure ahead of time that we're not going to run out, so we have time for them to mail it.
Will you have a presence at the Bluegrass Festival?
We will, as far as back to public health. Public health is going to have our Rock and Rest station there, which is, it's like a tent that's got at least 3 sides. I think we can have even 4 sides on it for breastfeeding and for like moms of toddlers who need to just have a break to go sit down in the shade, and we'll have like cold water there, and so that's part of our breastfeeding initiative. And then we'll just be around. So.
Can inmates have narcotic drugs if it's prescribed?
They can. It has to be crushed, and they have to take it right in front of us and do a finger sweep and show us that they swallowed it, so they can't cheek it and sell it to their buddy. But yeah,
All right.
they can. Any
So
questions?
sports physicals,
Okay.
free gratis. We don't pay for those.
Correct. We have volunteers that come in and do those, mostly, even the physicians and everybody, they're all volunteer. So they come in and we do them for a day, 3 days actually. We have 2 more days coming up. And
So you have 3 set days. Sweet. So your new facilities, most of that remodel was paid for out of your funds? All of it? Some
All of it.
county, or was all
well,
that
I know we had
transferred to-
5,000 earmarked for it, but I mean we have a lot of maternal child health funds that have not been used for several years. We went through that somewhat a little bit before these guys came on, but and I got permission to use it for the remodel, and I think we just use it. I don't think we take any money out of the general fund for it because it's
Use it or lose it.
I don't think
Well,
we'll lose
we
it, but
lose
we
it,
might as
but-
well use it.
Well,
I
that's
mean,
okay, 'cause it's been-
exactly.
it rolled
Yeah.
Do with it, right?
Yeah. So this was a great opportunity to spend down some of that, and I think, we're about done spending. We are done spending. I think we're
Yeah, I think we've expended all
Set.
we're going to.
Yeah.
How much did you pay the janitor over here?
He worked free gratis.
I was just going to comment on that. There were a lot of people who donated a lot of time and effort to that. Saved this county a
Saved a
ton of
bunch.
money. The lead on that was Commissioner
Well,
Flower and you and painters, and that was a really great thing, because if it was me, I would have hired someone to do it, seriously, because
Yeah.
I would have.
Yeah.
So you saved the county a lot of money. I appreciate
Well,
all
and-
the people involved.
I helped a little, I'll tell you who did all the work. And most of it was volunteer off the clock.
My old,
I know that.
Alyssa moved all that furniture over there, 90% of that furniture over there by herself. Husband helped her with some of the bigger stuff, but she certainly did a great job. It looks good, got a great feel to it, everybody seems happy.
Yeah. It's a good
Okay.
spot.
Good, well, don't run off, but anything else? Okay, all right, thank you, ma'am.
Nope.
Appreciate it.
Alrighty.
Yeah, stick around for a few minutes. And gentlemen, with your permission, I spoke with JD this morning, and I'd like to just take a few minutes in the middle of our meeting here before we move on to Human Resource and Finance to give recognition and a little time to our old buddy, Charlie. Today is his last day.
Wow.
And so we just wanted to have you come in and
Tell you
say
thanks.
thank you, congratulate you on 25 years, and I asked JD if he wanted to say something.
I'd
He
just
certainly
like to
could.
say that, yeah, it's been not quite 25 years, but darn close.
Pretty close.
Yeah, and Charlie's been a great asset for the county. He's been a good friend. I'm very confident in the gentleman that's replacing him, but I'm going to miss his knowledge of the county, his institutional knowledge, you know, being able to go, oh, didn't that question come up 5 years ago, and what did we do with that? Going to miss that, but just wanted to say thanks for your service and wish you well in whatever you do in this next phase of your life. So thank you.
Thanks, I appreciate that.
Good job, buddy.
You gonna have an unlisted number, or can we call you?
You can call me. Chris has got my number, and he claims he's gonna have to call me, but he's a great fella, and he's not gonna have any troubles.
Yeah. Hold on just a second.
Sure.
Trying to get your attention. I know you're involved in reading something. I would ask that the three commissioners, JD and Charlie, stand up here. We'll move that chair. Maybe we can have a picture. Is that all right?
I wouldn't have worn my party shirt for him if I'd have known I was
Well,
taking a
yeah,
picture
there you
taken.
go.
Yeah, you
More of the party shirt.
I did.
You're not gonna use this for a mug shot.
We're gonna try to use it for something. Yeah.
Thanks, Mel.
Yeah, stand right
Just in the
here.
middle, Charlie. You're the future.
Well, okay. I guess it's good that I have my fishing vest on since I'm.
Well, that's right. That's appropriate.
Tighten up.
So, it's another.
Wide angle.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Good.
If I'm in it, it's gonna be bad.
Stop it. How many years have it been?
And that's what.
Almost 25. February would be 25, I think.
Yeah, it's a fun, I'll tell you
Get
a
right.
funny story about it.
That's the paper talking.
When I started, I don't know if you remember this, Jay, but I started on the, and this surprised me. I hope I'm not taking up.
No,
But
no,
I
we're
got a
fine.
little story about when I started.
Darling.
I started actually on the 25th of January in 1995.
Yep.
And I came in 2 days later, and it was, at that time, it was JD and Mike Finney and Bonnie
Hartley.
Hartley
Pat
and
Gibson.
Pat Gibson. And JD comes to me 2 days later, he said, we need you to come up into the office. And they gave me this shirt, this t-shirt, do you remember this?
No.
It was a sweatshirt, and it was a birthday, but my birthday was 2 days after I started. And I was completely shocked that I had taken a job in a place where 2 days after you started, they threw you a birthday party.
Yeah, we got him a West of Colorado shirt.
Yeah, just to remind you.
Yeah, and
Because he had just moved here.
it just startled me, and it's been a pleasure ever since. I mean, I have enjoyed. I tell people, everybody's saying, "Oh, you got to be happy to retire," and I tell people, you know, when you have the career that I had and you enjoy going to work, it's a little different.
Yeah.
It's not all. If I hated coming to work every day, I'd be jumping up and down. I'm kind
You
of.
haven't been marking days off the calendar, have
Well,
you?
no. I got this little thing from Linda Elliott that says how many days and hours and minutes to retirement, and I said it, but I never even looked at it. So I've kind of been dreading this day, but JD and Chris and everybody has been great.
Good.
It's a happy day. And it's got a little tinge of sorrow, but it's a
Yeah.
joyful, happy day. And I want to thank everybody.
We're gonna miss seeing you.
And thank you for
I'm
coming
going to be
in.
around.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, I just
I
wanted to,
won't not pastor you anymore.
Okay.
But it'll be different.
I wanted to say, you know, personally that you've been a friend to me. You were a huge mentor to me with your time on the school board, and you never separated out that after you left the school board. You continued to serve in that role for me. I appreciate it. I know you've been a dedicated and a good employee to this county for a lot of years.
Well, appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Yeah,
You guys want to get cake later.
they're having a little cake and I don't know what all in their celebration for you, and know that we're in there with spirit, and as soon as we can, we'll try to come in there.
I'm in there with an appetite.
Thank you, Charlie. I really
Thank you
appreciate
guys so
it.
much. Everybody. Thanks a bunch.
Thank you. Miss Donna, thank you for your patience. I knew they were getting ready to go in there, and
I jumped ahead of Donna because I
Are you
was
part of
told-
HR now?
I was told that this was going on.
What was going on?
For Charlie?
For Charlie?
No. Beckwith.
So, Beckwith thing.
I have no idea what you're talking about, so I don't know. You expect us to read this today?
No.
Okay.
You're just giving it to us to keep talking.
All right. Yes, ma'am. Good morning.
Morning,
How are you?
good, how about you?
Good.
Hey, Donna.
Probably the only person in this room that has photographic evidence that there was smoke in the air.
I know, keep your eyes peeled.
That's right. Oh my gosh.
Well,
Been
it
a
actually
morning.
was keep your speed down as you go because there'll be a lot of presence there.
Have you heard anything about either one of those, or were they
The one
one and the same?
in 96 that it's out, and it was just one, and it is out.
Lightning strike.
So there was a lightning strike, and a little bit of smoke in the air over.
A little bit of
Night.
excitement on that one. It never happens that I could actually print this out and hand it to y'all of the handwrittens. I mean, it never,
Yeah.
ever. So that one time on.
Write this down.
So
I
don't
know.
expect it every time.
Yeah, that's what I don't want to say. Where's that little sheet? Well, it's not available 99.9% of the time.
I don't see my name on here.
Oh, I know. Darn, you just missed the cutoff.
And there must be a reason we do 2 Black Hills Energy instead of 1 check, huh?
Road and Bridge and
Oh, 2 different accounts?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We can't just go up and all together and write them 1 check. huh?
no, because if we could get it out of Road and Bridges, I'd be.
Because it's a dedicated fund.
Yep, correct.
Okay, anything else?
Just a couple. No, my stuff is just done as it goes. I don't really have a. If it's a report kind of thing, whew, y'all are the first to know, and it's never good.
Hey, Clint, it is the hospital district.
Thanks.
Um,
And then I have a few vouchers on
okay.
that kind of stuck in there.
And then while we're doing this, if we can, we are scheduled, I'm looking for our interview date, the 16th, is that correct?
Yes.
To interview 4 candidates for the OEM director position. Thank you for your work on that, contacting those people and getting that all scheduled up. And gentlemen, I'm sure you've seen that 1 o'clock start time.
Correct. I also saw the email that I appreciate sending out to.
It's 1 o'clock. I don't know why I had 11.
Well, originally we talked about morning, but that's been changed to afternoon.
All right.
Send out the email to other stakeholders for their questions.
On there.
Yes, thank you for doing that as well.
And
It is the 16th.
Yes.
yeah, and Christy Coleman, she sent answers, which she sent it to all of us. But I liked it because never ask a question you don't know the answer to. There wasn't a single one of those questions that I would have known the answer to. So it was really nice that she did give an answer. So I thought, yeah, nope, I know nothing of this.
Good.
So that was fun.
Yeah. I'm certainly not bragging. Ours was unfortunately one of the first positions to come open, and subsequent to that there's been 2 other OEM positions open in the state. So
Perfect.
Sure.
Nope, that's
Yeah, Chaffey County's position came open last week. So they're looking for an OEM officer as well, or manager in Fremont County, the guy? Grant. Thank you. Hot Sulphur Springs, yeah.
well, and Fremont was just in between our.
Do you know who their OEM is down there in Fremont County?
Michael Kroll.
He took over after old Red, Jill, Fireball. Yeah.
Because that was kind of
So anyhow, we had 7 applicants, condensed that down to 4. We're going to interview those on the 16th. We've invited Christy Coleman, the regional OEM manager, to sit in on that as well as yourself. So it'll be 5 of us. And have requested questions will be submitted from 4 other entities.
Yes, 1, 2, yes.
4. Okay. Okay, good.
And Christy is going to pick up a packet. I have made
Nice.
her a packet so
Okay.
she could be at the same spot that you guys are.
Good.
Good. Anything else?
No, that's,
Okay. I'm just gonna ask a quick question. The install on the carpet, that did not include the cost of the carpet, is that correct?
and
Install was separate in the price?
yes, and that was the Norman, I think. it
Yeah,
was.
Norman Gonzalez.
Yes, and that was a handwritten.
Okay, yeah. I just didn't know if that included the carpet or not. I didn't think it did.
Do you know, it came on the same bill, but there, Jeff Holmberg had written instructions if that would be payable to someone else
Okay.
at a different spot.
Okay. All right, ma'am. Thank you.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Should I reverse it?
Reverse it.
Yeah, there we go, see?
Yeah.
Ah,
makes
see,
Oh,
totally reversed. Save the
She
best
did
for
it that
last,
way.
there you go.
Yeah, I believe that. See you. Thank you. All right.
So, remember last month, Gwen asked if she could do a written report to you.
Yes.
So I sent that.
Okay. Pull that up. So extension is our next agenda item, staff report. She had forwarded a report.
Got it, it was in our packet.
Yes. Yep. So we did have the weed tour. She was very involved in that. She just did a great job and
You did it without the books.
did it without the books. She doesn't know I finally received those books, but there's a quick rundown on the fair entries. 15 market beef, 3 breeding beef, 26 swine, 28 sheep, 3 goats, 3 rabbits, 3 market rabbits, 3 breeding rabbits, 1 companion rabbit, 2 poultry, and 1 dog,
Sounds like Christmas.
and 6 horse. Yeah. And then, of course, those are the outdoor projects, indoor projects. 22 shooting sports, 4 scrapbook, 1 heritage arts, 1 sketchbook, 3 photography, 1 small engine, 1 robotics, and 2 model rocketry projects. So,
Pretty good.
we have 38 animals nominated for state fair. So we'll see if all of those go or not. And I know they're getting a lot of traction and momentum for the pending fair. The livestock weigh-in is on Wednesday the 17th. I think the indoor project's checking on Monday. I can't swear to that, but I've always, of course, being involved in the outdoor livestock projects, always kind of started the fair in my mind with the weigh-in, and I get yelled at that because it starts, actually probably starts next week with shooting sports. They do their competitive stuff way ahead of time. So I think that's kind of the highlights of her report. Gentlemen, if anything else you want to bring up, questions, comments?
I don't mean to put you on the spot,
No.
but do you remember the fair dates
I do.
this year?
Well, again, depends on what you mean by fair dates, but the Wednesday is the 17th and they run through the 21st.
That's right.
The livestock sales, the 21st. There's a meal ahead of time, starts at 10:30, and then the sale starts at noon.
And they'll be out there with their stuff a couple days before.
Yeah, the indoor projects and stuff. I think they actually open the indoor project
Monday or
exhibit on Monday. But fair book's online this year, so trying to get away from that whole paper thing. Plus, it's very awkward once that book is printed. If something comes up, obviously it's tough to make a change, and online they can go in and change that real quick and highlight it in red. And so the community as well as exhibitors can stay in touch a little more with that. But yeah, so hopefully everything's moving forward with that. There's been some improvements out there at the fairgrounds. They are getting ready. I was out there yesterday and looked, they have not poured the concrete yet, but they're getting ready to pour the entire concrete floor in what we always have known as the sheep barn. And so that's going to be a concrete floor, eventually probably become an indoor project facility, but we'll see. We're also involved, excuse me sir, and I'll get right to you. We're also involved with the University of Colorado in Denver with that strategic plan. Those folks have submitted 4 different renderings of what maybe a a county-wide facility would look like out there. So I think they're going to be here for the fair and have a little booth and share those drawings and try to get some idea about that. So good morning, sir. So anyway, other questions about her report? Be glad to have. Yes.
Actually, it's just
In
information
general?
about fair.
Okay.
Has the water debt been paid off in full?
No, but I did receive their installment yesterday and gave that to Virginia. And actually, let me pull it here because I just found out somebody must have put this in my box. There's the, that's the recent check, and I think that's the accounting. So no, it has not.
And-
That was on a 3-year.
Yeah, I didn't remember how long it
Yeah.
was. And we are segregating the water from Road and Bridge now.
No. Until somebody, i.e. the county, most likely,
Buys a meter.
$3,000 for a meter.
I'll just pay it. Unless they have a major spill, it's insignificant. It would take 20 years. to pay
Minuscule
for the meter.
amount of
Let's
water
just pay it and not worry about that, in my opinion.
Yeah, the water, I mean, this, and for the public's knowledge, this is, we're talking about a significant water bill that was incurred by the Saddle Club when they sustained a major leak. Nobody knew that. It ran within the trenches for an unknown amount of time. And so we, the county, made an agreement with the Saddle Club that they would pay that back on installments over a 3-year period of time. And so they have been religiously making those payments, so that's nice.
And we paid round.
Yes, the bill has been paid. We paid them. Thank you for that, yeah. And of course, this time of year, I'm involved with the Saddle Club to some degree. Their funds are running low because the rodeo is their main revenue generator, and I happen to know this came out of George's personal account, so he'll get reimbursed for that, but he's writing it out of his personal account so that we stay on schedule.
Well,
Rather than wait another 2 or 3 weeks and write us a check,
my
he said
feeling
no.
would be, I don't think he needs to do that. We would run with it. The Saddle Club, we're gonna miss this month and next month because of the fair, and we'll pick it up after that. I wouldn't have an issue with that.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. I just appreciate the fact that he is trying
Making an
his
effort.
best to stay on task.
I think he's
And,
terrific, but probably on this.
Yeah,
But I
okay.
appreciate that effort.
Yeah. Okay, very good. Any other questions, comments about staff reports before we move on? We'll move to unfinished business. I have none. Gentlemen?
I just have one quick thing to say, because Donna said that we have never insured those ambulances. We don't own the ambulances, so that language that, we still own them, insure them, doesn't happen.
Well, just because we haven't done it doesn't mean that it's not a legal technicality, though, does it?
No,
I mean,
that's,
that was another question for me. Who owns those ambulances?
well, apparently they do, we don't own them. So I
Because
guess we.
certainly we wouldn't have the same ambulances we did 30 years
No,
ago.
so we don't, and the other JD checked, and the land, the barn belongs to the hospital district.
I'm going to take exception to that, but I will continue to research. I don't know how it can. I'm
Wow.
almost certain they used RETAC money to pay for it. But
Well, if it, to pay for the land or to
No,
pay
the
for
building.
the building, well, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm not either.
That's a
I'm not
separate
arguing
issue, but
with
it's
you,
a,
I just-
if you build a structure on the land, it becomes a fixture on the land, becomes part of it.
Ooh, airport being an exception then. The airport doesn't own those hangars.
Actually,
they're on
all
airport
all they
land.
are is leased. And that's a good question.
Well, the airport land belongs to the county.
Yeah, but not the hangars, right?
Hangars are leased.
You said if
The
the,
hangars belong to they don't,
Right.
people don't buy them, they lease them.
oh,
They do. They actually
No.
build them, and you got a 99.
Yeah, but it's,
But if the
Linda
hangar would.
is building a hangar.
Yeah, but when his lease runs out, that hangar doesn't get off the property. It stays and becomes part of the property that they lease to somebody else if he
That's part of
moves
the
out of the
agreement,
lease.
though,
That's
right?
right.
When they lease it,
Yeah,
that's different.
that's different than.
Different than this.
Now, I would agree
Lease it
that,
to them or anything like that.
That's right.
I would agree that the clinic probably owns the land. You're maintaining that they probably own that building.
if unless there was something. There are some occasions where JD has it separate, where the building belongs to somebody else by agreement, but if there's not any agreement to the contrary, then once it was put on that land, it became part of the land. You know, it's a
Part of the
fixture.
improvement on it.
An improvement, I mean, a permanent improvement, not something that can be easily removed, like putting a trailer there that can be pulled off again.
Yes, ma'am.
If it was built though by with RETAC funds, then RETAC still has the right to say who it can go to. They still,
Unless there's
They would have
something
to
in
have
writing
it
to that effect.
Yeah.
If it wasn't deeded that way, it's deeded here.
Well, that's, I guess, a whole separate, but JD said, as far as ownership, according to his records,
Right.
it's the hospital district.
And he would have a record of that based on the tax base or whether?
Well, I think the actual deed at the time, if it was the Hagas who deeded it over.
If that building is deeded to the clinic, then
You can find a
okay,
deed on it,
but
can't you?
Well, if the land is deeded to the clinic, it's the ownership of the land that's key. And
Yeah.
whatever is put on it
Settle it.
afterwards just becomes part of the land. Permanent structures.
See who owns it on the deed.
Unless there's an agreement contrary.
If some, yeah, because JD does have a few where they somehow separated out ownership of structure from the land, but that's a very specific written agreement that he's got.
If I may, I'll just, an example, town of West Cliff and the Masons jointly owned the building that West Cliff Town Hall was on. The record's very clear that West Cliff owned the land,
yeah.
but we had multiple instances to show that the Masons were a part owner of that property. So West Cliff just went ahead and assumed that they owned half of it, and we worked it out with them.
Who's chairman of the Southern Colorado RETAC?
Brandon,
Yeah, I don't know. I truly don't know. I just have questions about
Well,
that.
we'll
The
look
only way to
into it
do that
further.
is look into it and research it, so. Okay, new business. We will move on then. We'll have public comment if it's an action item, and I will certainly do my best to bring that up. So, first item on the business is consideration of a resolution and a deed for selling some county land. Good morning, ma'am. How are you? Good to see you. Nice to have you here.
Still, after she's been here for 3 hours.
Only one.
So we are considering, this is Helen Burton, considering this morning of entering into a contract to sell you some lots that we have gone over. Lot 2A, Block 3, Lot 24, Block 3, and Lot 8, Block 5. And some of those were lot line vacates, so it comes to a total of 10 lots?
11.
11 lots, that's right.
Tell me those lot numbers again.
Those would be 2A, Block 3,
Oh, thank you. Got it.
24, Block 3, and Lot 8, Block 5.
In the Golden Arrow Valley subdivision.
In the Golden Arrow Valley subdivision, yes. Thank you, sir, appreciate that. So,
I have a question about the roads that are only on paper.
okay,
And I understand that it's the commissioners only that can merge some of these properties. Got a map for you.
good, okay.
This one has a squiggled out line that doesn't belong there.
So ignore the squiggle.
So
Ignore the squiggle.
everything highlighted in purple there is
Everything in
gonna
purple
be-
is what
would become your...
would become ours when you take this
Okay.
check.
Okay.
The check marks are those that I was trying to get and have not been able to
Got you.
for various
So
reasons.
we may see you again someday in the future, or
Yes.
who knows? Okay.
And the X
The ones
means-
with X's are the ones
We're
that
talking about today.
we're talking about today.
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
So between, you see where the 2A is, and the road underneath it, and the property underneath that, I would like to have the road there be merged all into one property.
So change the road. Diane Lane and Cora Lane.
I don't know the names.
The lane to the
lanes.
south of the gray property. Here.
I got it here.
Okay. If I'm
It
reading
would be
that right.
Cora Lane that merges.
Yeah.
Between here to here.
Okay. I'm not sure what you mean by merge. You want to put it together with
I don't
another
know.
road?
Right.
Abandon the right of way.
Vacate.
Oh, okay.
Vacate the right of way.
You want to vacate that road.
Whatever wording the county wants to
Okay.
use.
What do you want to do? Get rid of the road? You don't want it
I
in
would.
there, or what do you?
I'd like to
asking?
have it all as one property without a road going through
Okay.
the middle of my
All right. Yeah.
property.
Well, it is
Vacate.
all your property, but if there's a right of way across, I mean, it will be once we
Right.
finish this conveyance,
So-
but it'll have a right of way across it.
I hate to.
Yeah, you
So,
own all
Attorney
that.
Smith, if there are other properties out here that this road could eventually, I know it doesn't now because it's on paper, but if this is a right-of-way or an access to other properties, then I think we would probably have an issue trying to.
This is Bull
vacate
Domingo
that.
out here, right?
This is Bull Domingo, so is this one. These are both about 35 acres. This one has a road that comes in here and goes back into here. And this one, the road is down here and then goes into their property.
So nobody's using either of those right of ways into there to get into Boldomingo.
To go beyond here, no one would be using those.
Is anybody today using it?
Which
Is
is,
anybody using it today?
no.
Is, are
They-
there?
road
They're
doesn't
just
even
on
exist.
paper.
It's just on paper, right? It's just okay.
This is a whole separate issue, so I'd like to wait and deal with this later, unless you think this is gonna be a fly in the ointment for the purchase of your property, which there was never anything said about any roads.
Okay.
Because you're gonna probably have to go through Jackie and planning and zoning, you're gonna have to contact all the adjacent landowners.
I talked to Jackie, she says talk to you.
Okay, you did, and I'm saying we probably have to, talk to
I
Jackie.
talked to the assessor's office and she said talk to the commissioners.
Okay, okay. I'm not prepared to vote on the road thing today unless I
Okay.
know who the adjoining landowners are and what the long-term unintended consequence would be of us abandoning that
Yeah, that
road.
would be a separate issue.
Okay.
Yeah, it
You'd
is
have
a
to give
separate, and
notice
you
and
do
everything.
own the land.
Well,
That's a fact.
no, it's not a fact.
When she
There's
buys
a
it,
right
you
of
write
way.
the check.
Yeah, then,
Technically,
yes,
you would own.
not all of it,
That's
see.
right. That's right.
She's talking about vacating a portion
She wants
here,
that and this down.
but
But you'd be fine with that easement across it, and you'd like that not to be.
Yeah.
we just like to
That-
vacate that
And
easement.
that easement's
Yeah.
a separate issue.
And all the lines of the various properties would be nice to get rid of.
Vacate those.
I can, tax-wise, JD can just make
Merge
it
it.
one big tax
Right.
bill.
Vacate lot lines, which again, talk to Jackie about that, and eventually that would come back to the commissioners, I believe, and we would vote to vacate those lot
And
lines for you.
they'd come up with a new legal description for the complete piece.
Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
I'll talk to JD
Actually,
about it.
the road goes through you guys. Road vacation
Okay.
goes through you guys.
Right,
The
but
lot
The lot lines
vacation
through
With a
goes
normally
through-
comes
yeah.
to us with a recommendation from planning and zoning,
Not on a road.
not on a road.
They can come straight to
Someone
the,
needs to
okay.
investigate what potential properties this road would traverse that may at some point want to use it. I mean, I'm not
Right,
going to
that's
landlock
where
any
I'm-
properties. I
Well,
mean,
that's a
it's
good
not gonna
question
make any
because
sense.
Clint, if that's the case, then there has to be an announcement where you're going to vacate that and some public hearing that give people an opportunity to say.
And that's down the
Right.
road, but like she said, and I'm familiar with the area, they do abut up against Bull Domingo, and there aren't any roads that come in there on the other side. Those
That's the only way
property
in.
owners don't have any access to their property through on these but they'd have to be notified.
But they do have access currently to
Somewhere
their
else.
property from somewhere else.
Oh, yeah,
Right.
they off hill country road.
Which to me is what it's all
And that's
about.
what it has to be advertised, and
Right.
people can
And you know,
talk to us.
since that's not a county road, it might actually have to go through zoning because it's a subdivision road.
true.
But if I may, I don't like last minute surprises.
Okay,
I don't mean this in a negative way, ma'am, Ms. Burton.
I don't
just-
know all the,
It's fine.
What and when.
We're trying to help you go
Sure.
through it, but I am absolutely in no position to do anything other than what was on the table for today. Now, if this question comes up again in a future meeting and we've done our homework, I'd be happy to discuss with you and do what we feel is the appropriate thing at that time. But I'm willing to do what we've agreed to at this point,
Right.
and we'll talk about the
Okay.
rest of it later.
As I said, if this vacation of this road is a stumbling block for you, then let's postpone this transaction. If
No.
it's not, then let's deal with why we're here, and then let's do the vacate later on.
we bought our property in the first place knowing it had these problems.
Yes, okay, all right, good. I can tell you probably won't get much resistance from me as long as we're not landlocking somebody else, and
How do these people down here for these lots, what's their access?
Currently, the road is only on paper.
Well, but there are lots here that, they have to,
Do you know if there's a driveway somewhere else on the other side?
you're
No,
not trying to
there's not.
vacate
There's
down
just
below. and
not
there's
Emma.
nothing.
No, we're not trying to vacate.
Emma.
And Emma, and is there anybody, do they have anything on there, junk, cars, anything else?
Grass, nothing.
Just grass.
Currently, no cars, no campers, no nada.
Okay,
Doing the right thing.
Right.
all right.
Yeah,
And that'd be an issue for a separate day, but.
right. Which I don't think we have an issue with that, it's just not gonna be dealt with today.
Okay,
Part of what we're doing.
Yeah.
so how do I go about paying for this?
Okay, a couple things, if you don't mind holding on just a second here. So gentlemen, any questions about what we're doing today?
None whatsoever.
Okay, I've got the resolution prepared, I happen to personally have it up here, as does Jay. You have a copy of the resolution as well, or not? If you do not, let me
It's on
give you,
the packet, if you don't have the, and we,
Oh, I have this, that's all I've got.
no.
Did you give me that?
I did not
Don't-
get that.
do you have a hard copy to sign? or do you-
Yes, I've got the hard copy. I was just asking Bill if he
I
had a
haven't seen
copy.
it
So
yet.
you can look at these. Obviously, these are the originals, so we won't write on those.
All right.
I'm assuming, ma'am, for the sum total of $11,000, these said blocks, you're satisfied with that?
Yes,
Okay, all right. I would move that the county enter into and sign a contract, a deed
Things to
with,
deal with, the resolution.
well, yeah, the resolution and then the deed itself, to deal with the sale of the said lots, 2A Block 3, 24 Block 3, and Lot 8 Block 5, It's Golden Arrow Valley subdivision.
I'll second. And you
Been
can
moved and seconded to sign the contract
honest.
to sell 11 lots.
I think you need a motion to
Adopt
approve the resolution first, and that
That's where I
is,
was gonna go.
yeah, that is
Why I
the,
mentioned that
what we're
earlier.
doing.
It's the same blocks.
The entire motion was great via the resolution 19.
Do the resolution and then do the deed second to that.
Right, once the resolution is
Okay.
done, because it makes reference to that
Same
resolution in the
block.
deed
Just
itself.
change it to resolution.
I withdraw my motion. Second withdrawn.
Yep.
Chair would entertain a motion to approve County Resolution 19-.
Okay, let me state it this time. see if Jay will agree. I move that we adopt the resolution number 19-6, whereas the county, for the property located in the county that are described as Lot 2A, Block 3, Lot 24, Block 3, and Lot 8, Block 5, all in the Golden Valley, or Arrow Valley subdivision.
Is there a second?
I second it.
Been moved and seconded to approve Custer County Resolution 19-06 as stated by Commissioner Kanda. Discussion.
the resolution does call for selling these for the bid price of
resolution for the bid price, yeah, I didn't
$11,000.
mention that.
And it also specifies that the funds would go into the Custer County Justice Center fund.
Okay, thank you, sir. Further discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Resolution 19-06 passes.
Hard copy of the deed of county. And I did,
I've got one.
well, this
to
is a
sign.
little bit better paper, actually. I mean, it's the only, I just printed it out just so it's better than the cheap copy paper.
We don't want the cheap.
No, because I'm sure they're
This
gonna
you
want to
can- you
frame
can
this,
frame.
hang it on the wall with all the other deeds they've got. Putting all those parts. I talked to Ms. Burton about this and explained that this property's been owned by the county for well over 30 years. Nobody paid taxes on it, nobody wanted to buy it through a tax sale. So by default ownership, just went to
Have
the
this
county.
souvenir.
And I talked to her about it and explained the difference between a warranty deed and a quitclaim deed. And this deed of county is essentially a quitclaim
You
deed.
can't,
No.
And Ms. Burton,
I give it back.
yeah, so you have to give it back.
Yeah,
to
Ms.
her.
Burton, we will need that back,
Yeah.
sorry.
I can
Somebody
get, I
needs
can,
to
I
sign
can,
No,
it.
it's cheap. No,
I
here's,
can give
here's
you
the
a
real.
copy of that, but.
She has to
I
have
just meant that
Once
for
the
your,
deed is
for your
signed.
scrapbook.
I'll eventually
Oh,
get it
that's-
anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, she'll have to take it and record it, and then she'll send you the
No,
recorded
this was the
document.
That's a
scrap
copy,
copy.
yeah.
Okay.
That's why I gave it.
But anyway, Ms. Burton was fine with accepting ownership this way, that there's virtually nobody's gonna make a claim on any of this property.
Okay. And then is a motion in order for the deed of county signature.
Yes.
So I move,
Well, I know.
You're authorizing the chairman to sign this on pursuant to resolution 19-06, sign it on behalf of the Board of County Commissioners.
We did the resolution.
You did the
We that.
resolution, so now
So now
pursuant
we,
to the language of
pursuant to the
that.
language in that resolution, I move that, that we want, how do we want to state this? We execute
That you
deed of
authorize the
county.
chairman to
Authorize
sign
the
the
chairman
deed.
to sign the deed
On
of county
behalf of the
on
board.
behalf of the Board of Commissioners.
Right.
So lots 2A, Block 3, Lot 24, Block 3, Lot 8, Block 5, all in Golden Valley Arrow subdivision. And J second.
Golden Arrow.
Golden Arrow.
I seconded it too early, but I'll second
You
it.
can second it.
Moved and seconded to authorize the chair to sign the deed for said lots. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. Well, actually, I should have been asking for public comment along the way. I apologize. Public comment on the motion to sign. Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. It would appear that you're now the proud owner of 11 additional lots.
Can I see the check just for a second?
And then,
See if it passes. Where it looks like it's good to go.
good, thank you.
I guess that needs to go over to,
Miss Kelly.
yeah, she'll, because she has to record the deed now, and then she'll mail it to you and your husband.
Is that your mailing address on there, County Road 255?
Yes,
So you get your mail at your house.
yes.
Nice, good. Well, thank you, ma'am, I appreciate that. You are more than welcome to reappear on the vacate issue. We'll need to do a little research, so just
I work
call
with Meredith
Yes,
on
ma'am.
that.
She will alert us to that, then we can do the research that we need to do ahead of time.
Very good.
So, thank you, I appreciate it, congratulations.
I keep asking questions and finding the path to go.
Yeah, well, good, well,
One
Hope
problem
we
at a
can-
time, right?
Right.
hope we can help you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank your husband for us as well, would you please?
They've been having trouble with the
Charlie
radio
having a ball
station.
over there, what's going
And he's
on?
been working with new equipment coming in.
Oh, wow. So, yeah, you can just mention to Meredith real quick what you're thinking, and then we'll go from there.
Meredith, I'll get back.
Oh, well, maybe you don't want to bother her because she's eating cake and ice cream right now.
And didn't bring any for us, you notice.
It's roofed it.
It
Live
is.
stream.
In front of, oh, I thought you meant in front of.
Oh, no.
Next item of business, discussion of the medical care in the jail. We've kind of already dealt with that when Ms. Live and Good was here, so by consent, gentlemen, we'll move on from that. Broadband strategic plan 5-year update. I can't believe it. It's been 5 years.
Well, time goes fast when you're having fun.
So the last time you were in front of the commissioners was 5 years ago.
No.
I haven't heard an update.
How are you, sir? Back in the country?
I don't think I've ever heard an update.
I
Because you
stand,
weren't here 5 years ago.
I guess not.
Yeah, that's right. We weren't here 5 years ago.
that's right. Some of us were.
Yeah. So paint the big picture succinctly, if you can, just quickly about Upper Ark Council of Governments. Why isn't this an economic development strategic plan, 5-year, and blah, blah, blah?
Well, the previous 5-year plan was managed by the COG, DOLA funded principally with the 5 county contributions.
Who are they? Just get us all.
We're the southernmost, but it's Custer, Fremont, Chaffee Lake, and whatever the next
Park.
one, Park, which is actually not underneath the COG, except they chose to work with the other 4
Right.
rather than
Go
their
north,
COG folks.
Yeah.
We started soon after the first of the year. First, it was a meeting of basically the ones that was left over from the previous effort as to whether we should do a update because we were nearing the 5 years. We reviewed the accomplishments of the last almost 5 years, and the consensus was, yeah, it's appropriate for us to update it and such. And realizing, I mean, the topography hadn't changed, but a lot of things have come. Technology has gone forward and all that. And to some extent, we've had a change in our steering committee group.
So just keep us on the same page. You're talking about update the strategic plan. You all had a meeting and decided to update the plan
Yes.
to make it new.
And then the COG went to DOLA, and we received $10,000 from DOLA to support the effort. With that approval, the COG solicited for contractor help to do this. In fact,
When was that?
it was actually finalized probably within the last 60 days.
So when was the grant requested from the COG?
Soon
A
after
year
the
ago or
first.
something?
No. All of this happened since the first of the year.
Okay. So in the COG, because I'm new, the COG membership is who are the authorities on the board?
Well,
Count government, is there,
we have,
who represents who?
okay, for Custer County, it's Dale and I, as far as the broadband strategic stand. And generally, each county has got a minimum of 2 people that have been active in this effort for over 5 years.
So are they, the other people, are they county employees, county commissioners?
It's a
county
mix.
Citizens?
It's, I haven't
They have
got the list here, but we can provide that.
You guys are here today as reps from COG. This has nothing to do with Economic Development Corporation,
Right.
correct?
That's what I'm
Right.
trying. Okay. And you're a member of the COG?
No,
No.
representing our county on this
It's
particular.
this deal, yeah.
So
Yeah.
I mean, the county
Here's our
is
county
not.
rep for the council of government.
I'm trying to get the authority they got to be on the board and who actually are the, because I know nothing about, I just know nothing about.
This is my third time through. It's about to ask you.
But, so we started this effort, like I say, right after the first of the year. Concurrence was that we should have an update. We got the DOLA, Judy submitted to DOLA, got the $10,000. We were notified within the last month that it was available. They solicited for help. Paul Rank, I don't know if I can pronounce it, Ricanzoni, the one who did our previous survey and also did a number of the regional broadband strategic plans that were supported under DOLA, said yes, he's going, and that
from that standpoint, at least we didn't have to train somebody else. And cost-wise, that was very helpful.
Who is Judy?
Judy Lonis with COG.
This is Cog King. She's the king of the cog.
King.
King.
I don't know what her title is,
I
but
think
Who does she work for?
she works for the
COG.
COG.
I know, but what kind is it? Just separate? It's a separate government,
It's a
isn't it?
separate-
Upper
I'm
Arkansas
just trying to
Council
get
of
how it's-
Government.
How
Yeah.
it's
she gets
organized.
paid.
Yeah, she gets paid through them.
So she's like a
As does
director.
We pay our dues to that.
Autumn and
Right. There's
a
several of
bunch.
them.
Okay.
So we've got a tacit approval from the 5 counties as far as progressing. The point is 2 things. Some clarification from the email I gave you previously. There will be a kickoff meeting 10 July. Previously, I'd indicated the desire to have stakeholders at that meeting. Paul has clarified that he just wanted the steering committee at that time, but we do.
Who's Paul?
Paul Riccanzoni, the consultant. Basically, we'll be organizing the calendar and the implementation with his coordination. It will include a community meeting and then one-on-one interviews with stakeholders, either personal or by phone, to submit and support the plan.
So, if I can interrupt you, sir. So this meeting on the 10th now. What is that meeting for? I know you just said some stuff, but I'm not sure it got all the way in here. And who should be at that meeting? Because we were assuming we were going to be there.
That's an A change.
Okay.
The current direction is that we on the steering committee.
Just a working meeting.
Yeah,
for
and it's
people on the
it's
steering
mainly try to support the schedule and where we're going to do this. It won't get into any of the content, but it'll be just the administration.
Okay, then let me follow up on what Tom just said, because Jay, you're on this. You're our rep, right?
I'm your COG rep.
Right. Now he said that there was tacit approval by the counties. Did you approve something? What does that mean?
That means that
As a county?
of the
I
steering
approve
committee.
nothing without authorization.
I know. I'm just asking.
Yeah,
What he said tacit approval by the 5 counties. I'm just.
Well,
I had
and
first
to-
heard.
Talking by the people on the steering committee, right?
Yes. Now, realize we had no authority to obligate any funds or anything else, but from a functional standpoint, we've agreed with the COG as far as the selection of the contract and such like that. And then actually only, a week, 10 days ago, when I sent the first message out, it was identified what each county's pro rata share would be of the cost.
Right. Is that still
300.
on the table or not?
No, I mean, well, it's been a change because initially, I think in the email I sent you, I said it was $1,570.
Right.
It's actually $1,570.40.
Got it. Okay. So, go ahead.
I apologize. And is that divided, is that our share or that's divided by?
No, what we have proposed within the county is that we split it 4 ways.
Yeah.
For individually at $392.60, and that's including the 2 towns, the county, and economic development.
Gotcha.
To split membership.
No.
To split. What are we splitting?
The 1,700.
I know. What is that for?
That's the contribution necessary to support the grant.
It was a matching grant.
Yeah.
See, all right. Now, catching us up to speed here.
Yeah, you got to understand. Other than that email you sent to us,
Well,
never ever heard.
and really made a conscious decision until we knew what the cost was,
right?
that it wasn't an issue that wanted to bother you with.
Right.
So, all right.
Got it. But you knew there was going to be some costs somewhere along the way because it was a matching grant.
Yeah.
This is another basic question because you're bringing us up to speed and you're involved.
Actually, I haven't been.
Well, okay. That's good.
I've
Okay.
listened to this is my 3rd time.
Okay.
What you really need to do is get, instead of just piecemeal. Give us the background on what this is, what it's for, why we're doing it, and what we're gonna get for our $391.
Right, that's what I want. I want to know the mission, function, why are we, what does this government agency do of multiple counties that have banded together? Is it a plan only for broadband? Is it a plan for multiple things that we're going to do together?
All sorts of stuff.
Sorts of stuff. I just want to know what we're doing.
This is just a committee out of the Council of Governments to deal with broadband, what you're talking about.
Is that what it is?
Council of Governments might be
they-
helping you hire somebody, housing.
I know, I've heard of
There's
the
a
Upper Ark
myriad-
Council of Governments, so I'm confused.
Well,
what
the thing about it is
this
the
is
basic.
booked as the government broadband strategic plan. The Upper Ark Council of Governments broadband.
I think
strategic
early
plan.
in your positions, we provided you a copy of the existing plan. If we need to do that again, we'll be glad to. It's been the guidance that we've had for the last 5 years as far as the efforts we've gone.
So Charles, I hear you.
Yeah.
What I'm saying, the money that you're asking for is it just as a membership of the Council of Governments, or is it a part of this committee obligation? What is it?
It's,
What are we buying?
It is matching funds for the DOLA $10,000 grant
For
To update the
for
plan.
the update the plan.
Okay. And you said I thought we had been awarded that or something. You said that.
$10,000, yes.
But now we got to come up with 10 grand.
Well,
Whatever the
figures
matching.
out, yeah.
Okay, so now it's coming.
And like I say, the basic plan, it was almost $5,000 per county. So we're getting the benefit. They have provided a draft outline of the document, basically the status, what we had proposed and documented virtually 5 years ago, and look at incorporating. And since really we've got, depending on how you cut it, probably 3 or 4 broadband or internet related initiatives in the county now, will be to try to bring those in, rationalize them, and stuff to make it a coherent plan that
Before you get into the specifics, this is still a process problem I have. You're proposing to get the payment and split it 4 ways between Winky, Laswell, us, and
economic development.
and who? Oh,
Custer
you.
County Economic Development Corporation, yes.
Okay, so you're gonna loan some money,
No, we're going to pay our share, a fourth of it.
but who are you representing? Your corporation or who? If it's the county that is trying to, and the municipality's volunteering, that I understand that, and we're going to split the cost. Has Silver Cliff and West Cliff agreed to do that yet?
Yes.
Silver Cliff and West Cliff did, and you want to get our piece, and so are you? I'm just trying to figure out how CCED fits into the Upper Ark Council of Governments as a member representing who? If we got counties, if I'm paying $360 for our membership, then we're representing Custer County. Get it?
Yeah,
And who are you representing? All of everybody?
that's been our initiative for in excess
But are you
of 5 years.
representing all 4 counties then? Is that what?
No.
Well,
Can I,
So it's a conflict.
can I maybe, I think in January, when you guys appoint your people to
Right.
different groups,
This is
Charles was appointed as the representative to COG, and you're in this strategic, you're
then
the
why are we
bro-
paying
you're
2
in the,
memberships?
Well, this is not a membership.
No.
For-
Well,
put you
whatever
down
the cost, why
for-
are we sharing?
but the county, you guys appointed him to the COG thing in January.
But this really doesn't relate to that. It's we've been the lead as far as efforts for 7 years as far as broadband in this county, and we still accept that responsibility.
Well, I have not abdicated, from my point of view, the county responsibility for what the county signs up to, Charles.
Well,
And so-
and you will
and so-
have approval just like your predecessors on the final report.
Then then why are you paying $360 to be a member? You have you see what I'm saying? It's confusing on whose chain of authority here the command is on that council.
you know,
This, forget about the Upper Arkansas Council of Governments, other than they're the manager of this grant.
and they want matching funds from the counties, and we are obligated to matching funds.
Yes, and we have, like I say, we've got approval of 3 of the 4 entities, as we have suggested, to cover this cost, rather than coming to the county and ask for the total amount.
There's 3. You're the 4th. You don't
Yeah.
represent the county. We do, and we obligate the funds to match. That's my point.
And that's what he's asking, basically,
Right,
right?
you want our-
Eventually, you're gonna ask us for 300 and
Well,
whatever that
Well,
is.
there's
like
two
it would be a
things
third.
that I would ask is, number one, designate some people to some stakeholders that the consultant can talk to as far as offline or personal or phone stuff, and then also make the contribution of $392.60. So that's the 2 deal.
See, I'm still arguing, guys, before I'm not clear. To me, there's $10,000 that has to be paid to match, or whatever it is. And you're soliciting the Council of Governments. Council of Governments mean governments to me, and so there's the Fremont County.
You pay dues
Right, and so,
to the COG to be a
Right.
member of it and be
and
supported.
so then they want a fair share from each county to match that fund.
Right.
That would be, so there's 3 entities in this county that are governments that would pony up and split that 3 ways, in my view. I'm confused why you all are paying to represent the county.
Bill, using your logic, we should pay the whole thing because we're a county.
Well,
Using your logic.
well, that's right.
Exactly right.
That's my point, is how, and we can, if the municipalities want to come together as part of that, I think that's their choice, and I think I hear Silver Cliff
That's
has.
the same
And
thing
the
you
same with
say.
economic development.
So they're gonna give us some money
Right.
to add
would
to
like
it,
to have-
but the authority is ours to represent and to
Ultimately-
vote on that board.
Ultimately, it'll come to a vote.
Mhm.
We're going to say, thank you very much for explaining to us what you need to vote for, and we will vote for it. They will not have a vote.
That's right. And I'm glad that they're volunteering to pay for some of that. That's great, if that's what is
Well,
in fact happening.
that makes them a stakeholder in the process before it comes to us. I personally
But
appreciate
I'm
the
not
two
saying I don't
towns
appreciate it.
and this organization that has been the primary focus of broadband in this county forever, since day one. I mean,
You don't have to convince me, Jay.
get
I
it.
agree.
So my
I'm
feeling is
hung up on the
we're gonna have
process.
4 stakeholders in this. Ultimately, the decision's going to come right to this table.
The real
Whether
stakeholders,
it's this
Jay,
way or it's
are the
that
3,
corner
you're
somewhere.
right, it's the 3 municipalities, the governments here. We're the ones that are accountable. I'm glad that they're participating as volunteers, that's great. But in the end, the voters of this county aren't gonna go after them if something screws up, it's us. And so we are the
We will make the
stakeholder.
ultimate
That's right,
decision, not them.
right.
But they.
But you use the word stakeholder with them, and they
When I
have
say
a dog
stake-
in the fight, I agree.
When I say stakeholder, what I mean, they have
Okay.
a vested interest in the process. The ultimate decision comes from the organization that has the ultimate
that's right.
decision. and
Okay,
that is
all
us.
right.
But you can have stakeholders all
But
over the world.
that's right, if we wanna go and get a bunch of volunteers to add some more money to the pot and reduce our county cost, we could do
certainly
that.
could ask
I'm
10
all
people
for
to do it,
that.
right?
You certainly could. Do you want
Okay.
to ask tourism to be part of this? Or do you want
No,
to ask,
you know, I
you could
agree.
do
I just wanted to make sure
When you
because,
first responded to the email I sent you, you said, do you expect us to pay for it? That's short answer, yes. Now,
And do you-
as it's evolved, and really considering that the fact that both towns have got internet ideas, and from a technical and from a cost situation, they need to be integrated. And you know,
I'm
with what the county and both towns are doing, because if we each, and looking at it from a global deal, if we proceed potentially with what we could have certain degrees of redundancy, excess
Okay.
cost.
we're
and
good,
stuff
we're
like
talking
that.
the same thing.
Yeah.
I agree.
the bottom line is, when it comes to making a decision for whatever, we're going to come up with whatever the plan and whatever we do, and we got a consultant going to give us some recommendations. This table, and we'll take recommendations from other people, but you're not raising your hand to vote one way or the other. You're just being
I
a
just
good
want the
guy, and you're
process
going
to
to
work.
give us $400 and off we go. Okay, that's good with me.
That is exactly right. The $400 is
We
the
had the same issue.
the buy-in to the poker table, but you're not gonna be the winner. I can tell you that now, in terms of,
Well, yeah, I
you're
get
not the vote, you're not the kingpin.
Yeah, I was confused on who was who here, so
They're
you're right.
buying a seat at the table so that they have legitimacy to say, hey, during discussions, I don't agree with that, or I think that's a great idea, or here's my ideas. That's what they're buying it for $400.
I think part of the situation here is that you guys, you two particularly, more than a lot, probably get the sense, and I think accurately, that you're never going to get a rubber stamp on spending some money, even if it's $392, unless we understand the whole picture. We didn't understand the whole picture. I didn't either. I just knew. I mean, I get the COG and I get the steering committee in 5 counties. I didn't know about a $10,000 grant until you sit down
I
in that
didn't
chair
either.
today.
Had
You
no
just
clue.
said you're gonna need some matching money for a grant. Didn't know who did it, didn't know who
Well-
granted it, didn't know why it was, and all that kind of stuff. So let's not argue about the money. It's the point that it is money, not the dollar amount,
Right.
but the fact that there is money we're gonna expend. I think Bill's frustration was, let's look at the big picture to get it down to a decision.
And I didn't, and you
Right.
did. I didn't know there was a strategic plan for 4 counties until, seriously, and I know you've,
5 counties.
5 counties,
And we
whatever
did
it
get a copy, but
We
you
got-
gotta understand, man, we were drinking from a fire
That's
hose
right.
the first 6 months, right? You could have given us the Declaration of Independence and it would have ended up over here in this file cabinet and I wouldn't have remembered it. So, it doesn't mean it's right, I think that was just the facts.
and also I want to remind you that this county, like others, opted out of this, what was the initiative that held you hostage to a utility or a...
Senate Bill 152.
Yes. And
we-
so we
were
definitely
we were
want-
the unilateral effort
I got
to
you.
get that in the 3 votes that it took. It was out of our
I'm with
money,
you. So
in our-
given that, it's important to us, that's why it's important to me to have these towns and us looking at the bigger picture so that we're, and that we're not, we want to make sure when we're representing this county in that council of governments, we're not strapping into something that would be against the wishes of the voters of this county and the 2 municipalities. They did it separately as well.
Well, in the previous report, there was a county summary. What we are going to propose in this format is, while there will be a county situation, there will be subsets for both of the 2 towns because they have plans that are peculiar to their municipalities. But the whole idea is, and I think we'll all agree, is there's independent efforts going that aren't technically or economically coordinated, and we all know that we're going to be going to DOLA and
yes.
and the higher cost fund, and those people would appreciate the fact that our efforts are coordinated.
Right.
And
Well, it's not only DOLA, because there's other
Well, that's what I
agencies
said.
with money
That's what you
that
just
we
said.
have.
I thought that's what I
So much
said.
more than-
Excuse me.
What we're doing, or what the plan is, instead of each entity and each county just going off on their own, a concerted effort makes so much more sense to bring broadband service into the counties and this area that we're discussing. And this is a concerted effort rather than Lake County do their thing, Westcliff do their thing, Silvercliff do their thing. Let's get it all together and let's come up with a plan that we could work for all of us.
Economies of scale there.
Yeah, I mean, it just makes perfectly good sense to me. Now,
That's why I
You
care.
should feel that way. That's
Even
the way I feel.
just bring it into Custer County, you got the municipalities, you got several things, you got broadband towers, you
Right.
got fiber coming in, options, we got CenturyLink laying down cap
This
funds.
is all going to be
Needs to be
integrated
considered.
into this
Yeah, okay.
broadband initiative.
And I would suggest that since you've been dealing with CDOT, so that was a question we had last night or the night before.
CDOT and
We need to bring all the players in because
Department of Agriculture, I should say.
5 years ago, CDOT wasn't speaking to anybody. and that has improved incrementally. There's been changes in a governor. There's been changes in funding at the state level.
Well, even the U.S. government, Charles, we got the U.S. Department of Agriculture with their broadband effort that's
Well,
working with
EDA.
Silvercliff, and we want to understand that impact as well.
So it's and from each of the folks, each of the organizations, I would hope that we bring that to the head, and we can come out of this with a more coherent plan that we all agree.
Coordinated plan.
Yes, coordinate, because it definitely hasn't been
Okay,
coordinated.
so why are you here? Let's get back to why you're
It's
here
two
now.
people and money.
And I think I want to go to that meeting. Sounds like
And I will be the second one unless someone else chooses
Well,
to do that.
The consultant says he just wants
I don't care. I want to go here.
Well,
He's a consultant.
What time is that? 10?
I don't have the time yet,
Or the place.
but I know.
I thought the location was a steam plant.
Steam
It's-
plan is what it
it's
said.
steam
What's the
plant.
time?
Oh, it is. You found the look. Last time I thought we didn't have a
2 o'clock, Wednesday, the 10th
That's-
of June.
2
2 o'clock,
So latest in
10th of June?
July.
July
July.
2 o'clock.
at the steam plant.
And the steam plan is
Salida.
Charles, what's the five
It's a quaint
counties
name
again?
for a county. 2 o'clock.
Custer, Fremont,
Chafee.
Chafee,
Lake.
Lake,
And Park.
Park.
And what was that full amount that we're splitting?
We're splitting $1,570.40.
15, 7,
0.40.
and 40. Thank you.
There will be, after we've scheduled things and stuff, there will be a community meeting in each of the counties. And then with the designated stakeholders, Paul will either personally or by phone interview them as far as understood. And basically, a clarification is two's a minimum rather than a maximum.
And this is all geared towards updating the 5-year plan.
That's the
That's
mission
it.
of life.
We're not going off and developing an IGA with some other company. We're just updating this plan.
And it will not necessarily be dollar related. It'll be goal related as far as technical support of improving the internet.
So,
Okay, so let me ask a question to my fellow comrades here, commissioners. At some point, and this is information, we're going to meet, as we mentioned before, with a workshop with Silvercliff and Westcliff and us to discuss the plans that both towns have for fiber service into the two towns, and that might benefit us as a county too. And we need to do that probably sooner than later in order to be, I don't know what we're going to hear at, what do you think, Charles, is going to be the structure of this 10th of July meeting?
I think it's purely organizational scheduling and such like that,
That'll work.
rather than anything technical.
Okay. So that'll give us time to coordinate a meeting. That's what I wanted to make sure.
And then since we've been very limited as far as knowledge. Part of the deal is with this consultant and bringing us to rationalize what the towns need. I mean, we visited and attended the Silvercliff kickoff meeting on their effort, but that was all we know about what's happened.
So that's why we're trying to understand it too.
Well, and I would hope that one might be, one meeting might be adequate with the consultant unless you just want to have another meeting with the other two candidates. I mean, if those people bring their representative and bring their vision of what they want to.
I'm not talking down here, I'm talking this separate meeting.
Well, I'm suggesting that it might be able to kill two birds with one stone.
Well, maybe.
So if it's appropriate, I'd like to move that we authorize the expenditure of $392 and what?
60 cents.
60 cents. Let me rephrase it. I move that we authorize up to $400 in case there's a penny or two here or there. For our contribution with the other 3 entities in Custer County to help fund our share of the matching grant to upgrade the 5-year plan.
I'll second that.
Okay,
It's been moved and seconded to authorize up to $400 for the county's share of the 4 entities that are going to chip in on the matching grant from DOLA to update the 5-year strategic plan, COG's 5-year strategic plan for broadband. Discussion?
Okay, I got a quick one. Fred, you're a trustee at Silver Cliff, right?
Yes,
Did you
sir.
guys authorize $360?
Yes, sir,
Okay.
we did.
And did, and we don't know that Winky has or hasn't, you said
Well,
you did?
he said he
We
did,
met
they
with him
did.
last night.
Oh, you met with him last night? Okay, good. So I was wondering if they didn't do, we'd have to figure out how we're gonna,
We're the only one left.
okay, cool.
And it was timing, not,
I was going to
Well,
say,
that's right.
there wasn't any plot in those, that just happened to be
How
when
it
the
shook
the
out.
meetings were.
Okay.
And where are we going to get that money?
And that's an excellent question.
Meredith's fund for candy.
That's y'all's money.
I would say I can't remember the line or
Think we
the
have
account
enough in
number,
there.
but
We have
It's an
It's
economic
not really a
development.
miscellaneous line, but we do have some discretionary funds. And the problem, because it's not a tourism thing, I don't even know what budget line it would come from. Unless we take it from Bill's salary.
Yeah.
Okay with me?
let me look here real quick. It's probably more of an internal thing, but I guess we probably should.
Well, it's $400, it's
Yeah.
not $400,000.
But if it was 400,000, we'd be asking the same question, right? Where's it coming from?
Yeah, I'd be real concerned. If it's like that kind of money, then I really want to know where it's coming from, and I might take it from multiple funds, but it doesn't mean I wouldn't fund it anyway.
Give me just a second here. I thought it was 50 dash something, but if, as you say, that's a good question, then we probably should have an answer to it, right? And if we need to call Miss Donna to streamline the process,
Just wanted to ask if you wanted.
yeah, ask her about the $20,000, original $20,000 budget line that the commissioners have some leeway in, what account that is.
So, irrespective of which fund it comes out of, I think we should vote for it. I think we'll find it in the proper account, but I don't think it's going to hold up.
Yeah, we don't need a waste time.
I agree. I just
Too late, we
find
already did, is that what you
ourselves
said?
asking.
No, she said that.
I always find ourselves saying, that's a good question, and then we never bother to really.
Perfectly appropriate question, but when it came down to writing the check, someone's going to ask the question again, and if we need to
Right.
determine it that time, we'll determine it that time. Bottom line, we're making the commitment to be a partner with the other 3 entities to upgrade
Right.
the strategic plan. So I don't see.
I'll
any-
clarify, but I told the other two and CCEDC that we would each write a check to COG. I'll clarify.
Oh,
if-
so a
if
check
that-
needs to go to COG.
That's as far as I know right now, but I'll confirm that.
And again, that's minutia in my
Yeah,
opinion. I
it
don't
is.
care.
As long as they don't misinterpret the bottom line, it's Custer County.
You didn't get a hold of,
They know what we're attempting to do.
she's probably looking. Okay,
And in all truthfulness, the only alternative that we could see would be like we'd start with is that, and realizing the county's situation financially is trying to spread the wealth, plus to get the 2 towns to basically buy into the process because they have interest.
Not just buy into it, be part of it.
Well, that's one and the same.
okay, further discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed nay. Motion carries. Probably this count thing's probably more internal than, you don't care what count it comes out of.
As long
so.
as it's paid, yeah.
And so we'll let the record show that check would be made out to Upper Arkansas Area Council of Governments
I'll confirm
in a
that.
matching fund. You want to talk with Donna or?
Well, I'll talk to Judy and be sure, since she's the,
But we got to get the word to Donna.
yeah.
Well, you're going to probably fill out a voucher for that, or no? I don't know. No, you wouldn't, because
It's not-
you're doing
not-
your own thing with economic development.
Judy will send an invoice.
Okay.
She's looking for it right now.
I don't want to restrict it that this check is going to go to
The COG?
COG,
Why not?
because maybe it's going to be us write one check for the county and get reimbursed from the other organization. I mean, I just don't want to limit.
I
I'll
agree.
clarify.
I have a little bit different reason for agreeing with that. I think what we're trying to do, to me, is we have a county position, Custer County, which involves three organizations getting together and doing what's best for Custer County.
Correct.
And making sure we understand. So it's us going to the board, to that council as a entity, to me. And that, I think one check, and if we wanted to give it to Paul Winkie to give for the county, I think it's us representing the county and the municipalities. It'd probably be one check written.
See, and I don't agree. I think
I'm not
these
sure.
entities are all going to want to have.
The needs for Westcliff may be different.
Right.
I know, and that's why we ought to have we ought to be together on that as a county. I would think we would,
Well,
because
as a county, we are.
well, sure, because
Well, I mean, you
to
do
me,
with those
what
other
I meant by
communities.
that is if there's a solution, or if there's a need that Silver Cliff wants or West Cliff, we ought to understand how that impacts what we want, and what we would help advocate for, so that we're going as a combined entity
And
to
we
that
really
group,
are.
rather than us all arguing with each other at those council meetings. And well, West Coast, you see what I'm saying?
And I don't disagree with that. I think
I think that's one advantage of having an independent person involved in this. He's got no stake in any of our
Sure.
individual interest other than to come out with a coordinated plan, and that's certainly on the steering committee. That's what our desire is.
Well, I think Judy invoices us, we pay our share in the discussion.
I'll confirm
care.
that.
If I was the town of Silver Cliff, I'd say, no, I'm not paying Custer County. They're not doing it. I'm gonna pay COG. They're doing it. So I don't know. But we voted to pay up to $400. Yes, ma'am.
Community outreach.
Thank you. Could not think of that to
And
save
we
my
only
life.
spent like
Yeah,
a little
it's
bit over
fine.
600.
No, we're good. All right, so, yeah, come out of community outreach. That's an internal thing, but nonetheless. All right, sir.
We'll keep you informed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, I got so wordy there.
Okay, public comment. Hearing none, chair would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Before you do that,
Yes.
I have a question.
Okay.
You asked for Lot 6's address.
Yes.
I don't have an address.
Oh, I thought you did.
I did too. All we've been doing is, they don't want to do it by mail. They've always done it by letter.
Okay, I'll get
Do
it
you have a
then.
reason you need that?
Yeah, I'll get it.
Let me give it to you here later.
You have an address?
Yeah, the email. Yeah.
No, I've got their email. I need a physical address.
Oh, I can get that.
I'll just talk to David and get it. I thought you just would have it, but,
No, I don't have it. It was not my name, the letters that I was
Okay.
getting, so.
yes, sir.
Go ahead.
I have a question just for clarification. The issue that was brought up several meetings ago about comp time for exempt employees, am I correct in determining that we're going to follow a policy which says there is no comp time for exempt employees?
No, I don't think we reached that conclusion based on the information
Well,
you gave us.
I brought information, nothing has happened with it, so I thought it might have just died. The question that we put on the table.
Right.
Do you remember?
Yeah, I remember trying to.
I was not even going to say it was a suggestion. It was if we chose that there were
Some options. You gave us some
outside normal reasons why we felt it would be appropriate to give some time, if they could fill out a form, we'd approve it or not approve it. But we hadn't moved that forward at all or discussed any further, so I didn't know if we were going to just let it die and leave it. Because the policy says no comp time for exempt employees, period, the end. And
Right, because
there may be instances where it's appropriate.
It didn't say that they couldn't have the time off. It just said
Well,
no
yeah, you
comp
can,
time.
because that would be contrary to policy. We'd have to change the policy. If we chose to do this, we'd change the policy saying, and my suggestion was, and of course, my suggestion is just, a suggestion, that based on a majority vote of the three of us, we could or would be able to do it on a case-by-case basis when someone says, here's why I believe I deserve X amount of time off. So we just left it on the table, and I didn't know if we wanted to pursue it any further or not.
Well, I think we should.
Yeah, we do.
I think it's severed the fate of several things. We get,
No doubt.
other stuff gets shoved off to
And
the
it's
side of the plate.
that's
'cause
that's why I
we're
brought it
more
back
pressing
on.
things. So, yeah, I think let's maybe look at that,
Sometime in the future.
maybe our July
That's
31st
fine.
meeting.
I'm not
Yeah,
in
why
any
not?
rush at all. I just didn't want to, if we want to let it die, let's just let it die. But if we
Oh, I don't
chose
know.
to
We don't wanna
let it die, let's finish the
No.
conversation.
Let's make sure it's clean
You
so everybody
got too
understands.
much time and effort,
That's
and
not
I
the
think
issue.
we do need to make a
Discuss it.
decision and then by God live with it, whatever that is.
I agree.
I don't have a preconceived idea, but this thing of just, well, it says that, but we're doing something else.
Right.
That is
Yeah,
not,
I agree.
that is where we have the issue. I
Right.
concur completely.
So I've asked
What
Meredith
would you
to,
like the
just
terminology of it? Discussion or?
discussion, consider it, well, if we can consider it. Consideration of personnel policy pertaining to, it's really overtime, but nobody likes
Continue
that, so we'll
the-
call it comp time.
Discussion on policy for comp time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And technically,
And I didn't mean to
it's,
create an issue, I just.
no, you didn't. Thank you for bringing that up. It did, I forgot about it, to be honest with you.
I know.
There's some other things that have got pushed off the table too, certainly, hasn't there?
Bring them up.
So, we just gotta keep pounding away on that stuff, so. Correct me if I'm wrong. My wife says I'm getting a little arrogant in my attitude about that I know certain things. So,
I
looking to
agree
you
with-
two
I
to
agree
be
with
you
that.
be quiet about that. We're not talking about that. Comp time is a form of overtime. Yes or no?
Not in my mind. Not the way I have in my proposal, my suggestion. Not in the way I presented it.
Okay?
For non-exempt employees, the answer is yes, because you have the option of being paid time and a half.
Or not.
Or take the
Right.
time off. For exempt employees, I'm saying we reinvent the wheel
Okay.
and handle it.
And here's a clean way to think about it.
I don't want more
My
money to go
view.
out.
We don't, it's not about more money, it's about your salary to begin with, and you're signing up for a nominal 8-hour day, everybody does, that's what they come to work for, and they know that it ebbs and tides, and we know that, so I look at it as if you worked 36 hours one week, or let's go 44 hours, then I say, then the month balances out to be the 80 hours or whatever it is for the 2 weeks. Then comp time is just giving them the time on the following week to take 4 hours off. Only it's at the discretion of the boss. If you're not going to be doing anything, you can come in an hour later. That kind of thing is what people normally do in government that I'm familiar with.
Well, certainly,
So you're not paying for it. It's
I understand compensatory time, I understand that.
okay.
I guess my
How
question
you
is,
handle that.
no, it's not how you handle it. My question is, according to our personnel policy, because your suggestions we haven't implemented yet, my perception is compensatory time is a form of overtime. There are two forms, cash paid out overtime or compensatory time.
Absolutely correct. Non-exempt employees.
We don't have to talk about that.
Yeah, you do.
No, we don't,
Yes,
because the policy says.
That's
There
the
is
policy.
no-
That's right. There is no
That's
for
Correct. So,
exempt
as
employees.
it sits today, you are 100% correct.
Right, that's the
But
problem.
the discussion we're talking about
What?
is we're going to go beyond
Right,
that.
I get that, I understand. All that notwithstanding,
You are correct.
I'm talking about in the real world today.
You are correct.
That's right.
All right,
Yeah.
okay. Because everybody wants to call it comp time, and to me it's not. It's overtime, and the choice will be cash or compensatory time.
And I've got to say,
Only
one more
for salary
time,
guy.
depending on the context, we're talking about non-exempt
Yes,
employees.
absolutely
I'm
we are.
100% with you.
That's why, to me, exempt employees don't even enter into the conversation.
And that's what our policy says.
Right, that's why I'm saying it doesn't matter. We don't have
All
to
we gotta do is,
qualify,
let's
right?
don't, you're right, let's address
So
that.
where's this $400 going to come from?
Yeah, we already got that. So we don't have to qualify whether it's exempt or non-exempt, right now.
Right now,
Okay,
policy is very
that's,
clear.
thank you. That's where I was getting. So when you say, well, it doesn't, it depends on if it's non-exempt. No, we're talking about non-exempt. Right? Because the policy says exempt, you're exempt from that.
I'm only discussing, do we want to change the policy as it relates to exempt employees?
Yes.
And if we choose to do that, the suggestion on the table is no
Understood.
money out.
Sign up.
If
Understood.
approved by the
That's how it's
commissioners,
Yeah.
we can say you may take time
And-
off as during time when it's not necessary for you to be here.
And my question has nothing to do with what we're thinking about doing. You understand what I'm saying? I'm talking about right now. I'm just trying to make sure I understand. I don't care what we may
got it.
consider to do.
You got it
Right now.
exactly right.
Okay,
right
all
now.
right.
You're on. Okay, I had one thing left that you brought up, Tom, that reminded me. And that's, you said you used to be on the board at Beckwith. And then that reminded me, the other day you said you were going to be on the board of Sanger and Crystal
Correct.
Electric, right? So the only issue there is, are there time now, we have 3 electric companies that that work in Custer County. Is there any?
Not that I'm aware of. But
Black Hills, Sangre, and San Isabel? Aren't those the hip tentacles into the county? I believe.
Yeah, maybe San Isabel does come
Sure
into
they
the
do.
county.
They do that. They go up all the way almost to Jim McKenzie Corner. Not quite that far. Anyway, my only question is, there may be times, as you're on the board of directors, is there things that would cause you to be recused from something that might be important to vote on? And have you thought about
You talking
that?
about conflict of interest?
Yeah, conflict of interest, possibly, it seems to me. So that was the only thing I thought of after you. I didn't think of it until I went home, and then I forgot about it for the last couple of meetings. So I just want to make sure we're doing the right thing for us here.
Well, I didn't get on the Sangre board for us.
I know, I'm just saying, but I'm talking about the right thing from a board of commissioners thing that could get in the way, and I know that sometimes Jay handles it pretty good with the lawyer jobs. So I guess
Something to
something
consider
to
if that
consider
comes up.
when it comes
Certainly,
up.
yeah.
I don't even know.
It's like any position. I mean, you can't
Right, you don't know
what might
what
happen,
could
so you deal with that if and when you're.
Probably wouldn't have been an issue at all if there was only Sanger to Crystal, right?
Now, did I mention, I just want you to know that for an interim basis through the end of the year, I'm working for Silver Cliff as their attorney also.
You didn't mention that.
So you want to talk about conflict of interest?
You ought to
It
just,
is all over the place there, and I watch that like a hawk. But your point is very well taken, Bill.
Anything else?
Yes, sir.
Nope, we meant 5 minutes over 12. That was my-
Chair would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
Second.
I second.
It's been moved and seconded to adjourn. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed nay. Motion carries.